Today's episode is brought to you by Coal Creek Equine, makers of the best equine spa in the industry. If you want your horses to be world champions, you better put them in a Coal Creek. Well, welcome, guys. Today on Uncut Real Raw, we've got a horse trainer, CEO, businessman, horse trainer, vet, a little bit of everything. We've got Thiago Boechat. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Thiago, nice to have you here, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, mate, actually, you're the CEO of GeneTech. That's your main part, what you do now. And is it GeneTech? Is it GeneTech breeding or GeneTech embryos, or just the name is GeneTech?
Well, we call it GeneTech Animal Reproduction.
GeneTech Animal Reproduction.
Yeah.
Okay. You're also co-owner of Seven Lakes Ranch. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, and that's a reining facility as well.
Completed reining. We do training, breeding. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a while now. We've known each other for a long time. From a distance, we're always cordial, shake each other's hands, say hello, but we've never really had a chance. I don't know why, to be honest. We're in the same circles for a long time that we haven't sat down and had a good fucking cocktail and just bullshitted. But I've been very curious about you because, we always hear things about other people's careers. But I from what I know, you were a vet at some point. You're a damn good reining horse trainer at one point. You've managed some world-class ranches over your years, and now you've hit a home run, and you're the world's leader in the ICSI frozen embryo deal. So you've kind of had 4 fucking careers here, and did it really well. So I want to talk to you about how the hell did you pull that off, what made you do it, and kind of walk through your career, if that's all right with you.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, let's get started, mate. How old are you, for starters?
I'm 49. I'll be 50 this year.
Okay, well, I'm the same age as you, 1975 model.
That's correct.
Okay, righto. So let's start. Where were you born, mate?
Where? Well, Brazil.
What part of Brazil?
Vitória, Espírito Santo. It's a state north of Rio de Janeiro.
Okay, righto. Did you grow up in a horse type of environment, horse family, horse training, or city kid?
Actually, where I'm from, it's by the ocean, but I grew up with the horses. Like my dad used to raise horses then when I was born, and so always involved with the horse. So when my friends were going to the beach, I was going to the ranch.
That's interesting. What kind of horses was your family raising?
So when I was born, my dad was raising manga largas.
What is that?
They are like some kind of gauge horse.
Gated horse.
Gated horse. So they use them to do trail riding.
Like Pasofino, like we have a Pasofino.
Yeah, the Pasofino is very short,
Yes.
know. The manga largas it's just a smooth trot, really.
Would it be similar
trot.
to a Tennessee Walker over here? Tennessee Walker gated horse?
Yeah, but no, it is similar. But but then when I was growing up, like maybe 3 or 4, my dad stopped breeding quarter horses.
Okay.
So that's back. He was the first one at our state, and one of the first ones in Brazil back then.
To import quarter horses or start breeding?
He didn't. Well, so he used to buy some from São Paulo and bring home, and then at that time they used to register half crosses. So you breed a quarter horse stallion to a manga larga mare or any other breed, and then you register as a half. And then if you breed those halves to a quarter horse stud, you go to a 3/4 bred, and then a 7, 8, 15, and then so you get to the pure blood. So,
do you know what inspired your dad to start breeding quarter horses? Did he see something? Did he see cutting, reining? Was America an influence? Do you remember what triggered that change?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think the Western, the Western horses, and then the cowboys, and what you could do with the quarter horses, I think that's
pretty amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and at that time, you didn't have reining, cutting, and all that, blood. At least in Brazil, you just call quarter horses, and then probably we were riding halter horses trying to do their racing or things like this, but. to be honest, it was just quarter horses,
Yep.
you know.
And when you started breeding them, when your dad started breeding those quarter horses, do you remember at that young age what he was trying to train them to do? Was it just for the family enjoyment, or were you breeding them to sell and make a profit? You know, do you remember at that early age in your career what these horses were doing?
Well, it was a business for my dad.
Okay.
You know, he used to buy, just like we used to do in the cattle business, just buy truckloads of horses from São Paulo. You know, like I said, the half.
Yep.
And then just bring them to our state and putting them in a corral and have people come and pick and choose, you know. Funny story, one time my dad was showing, you know, a lot of horses to this client that was, and I was a little kid, and then this guy was choosing which one he wanted, and then he told my dad, I like that one. And I said, that looks like a Mungalarga. So he didn't buy that one. My dad got so mad at me. You know,
you queered the deal on him, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I learned the lesson. You know, don't get in the middle of it. You know, just listen. Don't say anything. So.
Whoever talks first loses. Yeah.
So.
I've made a lot of money sometimes with that rule. Whoever talks first loses.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
So
your dad obviously was a big influence on the horses. As you grew up and went through school, you just were drawn to the horses, correct? You didn't have to be made to go to the barn. It's something you loved to do.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Not at all. Like I said, when my friends were going to surf, I was going to ride. So, like when I was 5, I was already competing in bell racing, pole bending, all that stuff.
That's what I was going to ask. What were some of the events that you and your dad did?
Yeah, so my dad used to put competitions in our state, you know, like quarter horse competitions, which had bell racing, pole bending, cutting, reining. I mean, a little bit of those, you know, but...
So back, similar to America, is all-round stuff.
Correct.
A little bit of everything to make it work. Okay. Your dad, by the sounds of it, was your biggest horsemanship mentor, like taught you the basics of riding, horsemanship. Was he one of your main early influences?
Well, yes and no. Just, you know, yes, with the horse business side of it, yes. But not the horsemanship. My dad was an owner. He wasn't a trainer.
Yep.
Or, you know, he wasn't. He used to ride too, but as an amateur, as a non-pro, not really as a trainer. So professionally, I'm the only one in the family that took that route.
Okay. So let me ask you, as a little kid, and you're doing the all-round, some barrel racing and different events, who's teaching you your horsemanship? Where are you getting your start as a horseman from who?
So, like I said, my dad was an owner, so he had hired trainers. And so that's who I, you know, started learning from at a young age, you know.
So like trainers in the area, local trainers, etc.?
Well, trainers that he actually sent to São Paulo again to ride with professionals there, you know.
Yep.
National champions and stuff to learn. And so, and that's who I started learning from, those trainers that we had in-house.
Okay, so your dad's in-house trainers that were training these horses, the horses your dad was trading on, buying and selling, he had his own in-house trainer.
Yeah.
And you were learning from that guy.
So yeah, he started off doing that, and then he started breeding, raising some, and then from those we would train, and then and you know, then I went from the bell racing to roping. I roped a lot too. When I was younger, so I did a little bit of everything, you know.
Yeah. So at what point then was there one particular event that tweaked your interest more than others, or you just did it all as a kid?
I did it all as a kid. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't very much of reining competitions.
Yeah.
But back when I was about 12 or so. A very good trainer in Brazil, reining horse trainer that had spent time here in the States with Doug Milholland and went back to Brazil, Django Salgado.
Yep.
So Django put a clinic close to where I lived, so I came over, and I was just a boy, a young boy, and so that's when I got very interested about reining.
What intrigued you or inspired you about reining? Because I personally remember the first reining horse I ever saw in person. It was at the Queensland Quarter Horse Championships in Comet. Queensland, and I remember this black Clover Pinaroo mare just galloping down the arena and just dragging her ass. You know, and back in those days, the ground wouldn't have been good. It would have been like eight inches of just soil, but she would just gallop down there and just bury her ass and spin around and gallop down the other end of the arena and drag her ass. And I was like, holy shit, that looks cool. That looks fun. Do you remember the first time you saw a reining horse do that kind of stuff?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what intrigued me. How can you teach them to do that?
Yes. How do you teach them?
How do you teach them? So I go like, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how old you are when you saw that?
About that age. No, I mean, when I saw it, no, I was younger, maybe 8.
Okay.
7 or 8. But when I, had my first contact with the reiner was about 12.
Yep.
Yeah, but man, I just loved it. I wanted to learn how to teach them how to do those things, and then I always thought that if I learned how to do that, I could teach my horses to do anything else after that.
Yes.
After they knew that,
everything else seemed easy.
Yeah, it's just like for me, and I still think that way. It's the base for everything that you're gonna do in the Western. Of course, there's things that you don't want. When you get them to advance in the reining, then it might cause a problem in some other disciplines.
But for sure in that 2-year-old year, getting them really broke in the reining as a 2-year-old year is going to help a barrel racer.
Yeah.
It's going to help a cow horse. It's going to help any horse.
I have a hard time when somebody tells me, it's doing the reining, so it's not going to, it's going to be a problem for me. Yeah. I have a hard time with that. It's
anything that any horse that's too soft and supple, it's easy to get them stiff.
Exactly.
It's easy to get their head up. It's easy to get their head up in the air.
Yeah. So,
you know what I mean? If it's too broke, I'm like, okay, just ride the son bitch around for 2 weeks. Don't soften it. Hang on its mouth, and its fucking head will be upside down. 2
Put your
weeks
hand
and
down.
pull it on you. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So you went to school, probably mandatory in Brazil to go to school. You went through high school.
Yes, mandatory. From my parents.
Yeah, they're the only ones that matter at that age.
Yeah.
So you go through high school. What happens after high school? Do you want to be a horse trainer for a living? You go to college. Like where's your life changing at this point? Because you're obviously ate up with the horses. You got a passion for it. Your dad and you do it together.
So before that, actually, my parents moved from my original state to a far north state, central north, called Tocantins. It's very central, very, very rural. No beach, no. Then that was ranch. I mean, that's all we did, ranching and all that stuff. So then I started roping a lot. And then no reining. There was no reining horses, any of that, any reining competition. A lot of roping competition. So I started roping a lot. So, but before my last year in high school, I decided to come to the States. So I was 17. Mm-hmm. And then
Where did you come?
I came to work for Joe Hayes.
Okay,
in
Joe
Gainesville,
Hayes.
Texas, in 1993. Mm-hmm. So I spent a year with Joe, and man, that was very, very hard on me. Mm-hmm. As far as 17 years old, never left the country, didn't speak the language.
So you didn't know very much English either?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And he worked me. He worked me really hard, and I, maybe after that, after I left him and stuff, I was like, son of a gun, like he was hard on me. Mm-hmm. But
how did you end up meeting him? Like, what out of all the people you could have come and worked for,
a friend of my dad.
Where did that connection come
from? A friend of my dad that lived in Dallas that somehow knew him and said, "I'll take you to the best one." You go, all right, And it was great for me.
Good foundation.
It was great foundation. He had. Did
you do a lot of riding?
I did. At the beginning, I cut a lot of grass, cleaned a lot of stalls, and you name it. Picked up hay, everything. There was no weekends. Feeding, cleaning the weekends, and but that's I think that's what helped my future.
You're damn right it was.
Yeah. So
you started at the bottom.
Very much.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I want young people that listen to this podcast to realize is every guest that's sitting in that chair where you are, and every guest I have on is usually the best at what they do or extremely good. Some of them have made a lot of money in the equine world or just extremely good at their career. They all started where you did. They all started where I did. They all started doing shitty jobs, cleaning stalls, working 7 days a week. They're broke. It's difficult. It's hard. And I think a lot of young people just think that you motherfuckers just start at the top. You know what I mean? Everybody that sat in that chair.
But it's so different now. Yeah. It's so different now. Mm-hmm. You know, like I worked for food and a place to stay.
I did too, yeah.
There at Joe's, and then I had to write letters home. You know, I would walk 2 miles to the next public phone to collect call to Brazil to talk to my parents. Now, I mean, these kids come from Brazil or Europe, anywhere they come from, and they, you know, got their cell phones, they FaceTime, they got a job, they get paid, they
get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the first 2 years of my apprenticeship, I worked for free, just like you said. He gave me room and board. Gave me a place to sleep, food on the table.
Yeah.
But when I say free, Thiago, and I think, tell me if you disagree, it wasn't free. I got paid an experience.
Exactly.
Those 2 years of that knowledge, what Gordon McKinley showed me, I make a lot of money from that now. Because he showed me the foundation of what I do for a living. My whole career was built off those first 2 years, from 15 to 17. And if I would have walked up to him and said, you should pay me to learn your shit, he would have said, fuck off. Yeah. I went to him begging, can I work for you for free? I'll do whatever it takes. I'll sleep on the ground. Whatever it takes, I want to be around you.
Yeah, it was almost a favor that Joe did to my friend to let me stay.
Yes.
You know, and nowadays these kids, they just want to know, before they come, how much you're going to pay me, how many hours am I going to work? You know,
straight away.
Do I need to, what am I going to do? You know, do I need to, I mean, even if you want them to groom a little bit, they might complain about it, you know.
God.
So it's different. It's different. And I think...
What were some of the greatest lessons you learned? Even though you know, it was tough when you worked at Joe's, and it was tough when I was at Gordon's too. These are tough men. Back in that generation, they were a lot tougher men, okay? But I wouldn't trade that time for anything. What I learnt there. So what were some of the key things that you learnt at Joe in that first year? As tough as that was, even being away from your family, never being away from your family, not being able to talk to them very often. What were some of the key life lessons you think you got in that year?
Well, I think the main thing is you got to work for what you want. You know, it's not gonna just fall in your lap. You know, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
So and he made me work for it.
Yeah.
But and then you start gaining space. You know, like okay, now you can come and warm this horse up for me. So just by loping around, you appreciate that. You know, I'm just loping, you know, if you think now, I was just loping the horse around. He put your hand down, just lope around. And then you're happy because he let you, lope a horse around. Then, you know, go ahead and start that one. You know, I remember one time he said, let's go pick a horse that I need you to break for me. All right, so we got his little 2-horse trailer and went to somewhere, and the mare was in a corral. So, man, that's weird. So we just chased that mare into the trailer. So, man, that's, you know, she wasn't even halter broken. She was about 9 years old.
9 years, eh?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I said, oh shit. You know,
this is gonna get western.
It's gonna be crazy. So I had to break that mare. You know, and like I said,
had you had experience starting horses up till then?
No.
Oh,
I mean, I had little, but
not a 9-year-old, never been touched. That kind of wildness.
No, and then and he's done things that he goes like, you know, after threw a saddle on her and let her buck, you know, and then he goes like, get on. You know, he had the lead rope in the round pen and said, get on. I said, seriously? So I just got on, and that thing started bucking like crazy, and he just had the lead rope, you know. Then next day he made me do that in the arena. You know, no, I mean, it was...
There's a few fucking steps that got skipped here, but anyway.
I'm glad I was young, you
yeah.
know, and could... but so... Yeah, I mean, those things, I think, I didn't forget it, you know, so.
I bet you didn't.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't. Well, things have changed for the good since those type of techniques. I remember one of the first lessons I saw when I first came to the States, a guy saddled a 2-year-old tied up to a fence. It was a big wall in an indoor arena, and the horse was tied to the fence. And this was the horse's first saddling. It was a 2-year-old. And I'm thinking, because I had a lot of experience starting colts in Australia before I came to America, like a lot of wild horses, like what you described. 9-year-old man, never been touched. That was my forte. I cut my teeth on those wild horses, okay? So he shows me how to saddle these horses. And he says, I want you to saddle them just like this. Stand back and watch. He ties this thing to the arena fence. And if this is the wall here, it's on an angle about here. Well, he's standing right here. So he's in a wedge. And I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to saddle this motherfucker tied up to a wall like this for the first time, is he? And sure enough, he fucking did. And he's caught in this wedge. He's done up the front cinch, done up the back cinch. And I'm thinking, if this thing breaks in half and jumps forward, it'll just slam him into that wall and fucking break all his ribs. It'll kill him. You know what I mean? You would never, that's one of the dumbest things in the world, is to saddle a colt for the first time tied up to a wall or a fence. It's either going to sit back, break the halter and lead rope, flip over backwards, jump forward, hit its head on the fence. Like, there's about 10 billion things that could go wrong. Sure as shit, that's how he wanted me to do it. And I did not want to do it like that at all. So what I would do is every time at night time when he'd go to the house, I'd sneak back down the fucking barn and I'd do those colts the way I wanted to do it in the round pen, where I'm in the middle of the round pen. So I was up half the night training horses. He never knew. And the next day I'd kind of do it the way he wanted it done, but I was worried about my safety. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't even let him do that to me or to the horse. But at that time, that's all I knew. Yeah, that's all I knew. That's how it got to be, right?
So as you earned your way there, worked hard, put in your time and effort, he gave you more horse training to do, correct?
Correct, yeah. And it was fun, After that, there was this Italian kid that was working before me there, and so he was the main assistant trainer. And he was a little hard on me too, as far as, not giving me the chances, know, and but Joe did eventually, and then afterwards, a few months later, that kid left too, and then I took
you went into number one position.
To number one position. I didn't have the chance to show while I was there, but I mean, it's so different. Because at that time, just by going to the horse show with him and being able to see those big name guys that you only see
Loomis would have been showing back in those days.
He was showing very little. It was towards the end.
Down?
Yeah, but
what year would this have been?
93.
Okay.
So that's when Tim McQuay had Shining Spark. Craig Johnson had Smart Chicolina. So I got to watch those horses and those guys showing.
That's right.
And those are the horses and guys that I could only see in the Rainer that I
magazine. Got
home, mailed to me 2 months later, in Brazil, so it was, it's just like I said, it's so different than nowadays. Nowadays you pull Instagram, Facebook, and then you know what's going on, in the whole.
So basically, you were going to horse shows, getting around your idols, getting around people that you saw in the magazines, and it was a big deal.
It was a huge deal, and then that's and then you go like, that's what I'm do for a living, right?
Yeah, it inspired you.
Big time. So, but then you go back to Brazil.
So let's back up a little bit. So you were there roughly about a year. So from a horsemanship perspective, as you got to train a lot more at Joe's, was there any particular style or techniques or things that Joe taught you as a horseman that were a big influence on you at that time, or not particularly? There doesn't have to be an answer, but was there? I always say you always take one good thing away from every trainer you ever work for, at least one. There's something that they do that you're like, man, that's still to this day, I either do that or that inspired me to build on that. Was there anything that Joe did?
The whole foundation of Joe was great for me. Everything he did with the young horse was great for me. The showing part of it, not at all. Being honest.
Yes. And let's face it, he was never known for showing a lot of great horses.
But
he was known for putting a great foundation on 2-year-olds. He sold a lot of horses to Todd Summers back in the day, and Todd went on and won a lot of money on them. So, yes, I would agree. Your foundation was his niche.
Not only that, towards the end, he had a badass 3-year-old, Joe did, that he owned, and I was proud of him, proud of, the whole thing. And then he sends it to Craig Johnson next door to show for him. I said, You know, like I lost all of the, that respect, not respect, all of, like, shit, now he's going to do well, that's all he needed, a good horse, and then he sent it to.
Yeah.
So he himself didn't trust in his own showmanship, I guess, because he had to send his good horse to.
I think you can look at that two different ways. I see your perspective, and I'll give another perspective. To me, every great horseman wants a good horse to win. If it's a great one and you want it to win. And in my opinion is, I don't care who the jockey is, I want to put that horse in the best position to win. If it ain't me, I'm going to put it in the best. I'm going to give it to the trainer that I think can get along with the horse the best, etc. But the other thing that Joe was really good at, that a lot of people may or may not know, he was really good at selling horses. He sold a lot of horses back in those years. Back in those years, getting $150,000 for a 2-year-old was a hell of a lot of money back then. And he sold a lot of high-dollar 2-year-olds back in that day. So I suspect some of the reason why he might have had Craig show it is that Craig had some damn good customers back in those days too. And maybe he was trying to sell it or promote it as a star, etc.
That's what I'm saying. I got disappointed at the time because, why, you waiting for that horse for so long and then you're not going to show it.
Yeah.
And then now I know he was a great businessman.
Yes, he was.
He was a great businessman. So he owned the horse.
Yeah.
He just did the best for it.
And back in those days, Craig would have been on top of his game back then.
Craig
correct?
was the guy.
He was at the peak of his career,
and he took his horse. So now I agree with Joe.
Yes.
And so, but at that time I got very disappointed.
Yes, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny, as we get older, even with our parents, we always think our parents are stupid until we get to about 35, 40, and we're like, they were a lot fucking smarter than what I thought they were.
Yeah. Well, just like now, I mean. People ask me all the time, don't you miss showing? I don't. I really don't, period.
Yeah.
How come you're so good?
Yeah.
I don't. I love helping those guys in the barn, my trainers. I love helping them at the horse shows, coming, to ride with them at the middle of the night if I have to, but also supporting them and seeing them succeed. And nothing like, I wish I was showing that horse. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, there's chapters for everybody in different parts of life. Yeah. So let me ask you, so you stay about a year then, where do you go from there? Do you go back to Brazil or go to another trainer?
I went back to Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your main reason of going home rather than going to another trainer to learn more or advance your reining career? Because at that point, are you thinking you want to be a reining trainer at that point, or you're just trying to gain horsemanship knowledge? At 17, do you know what you want to do for a living, or you don't know?
Yeah, well, I did. I wanted to be a horse trainer, but I needed to go back. I promised my parents that I was going to finish high school, and I was on the visa, so I had to go back anyways.
Yeah.
And I had to finish high school and then see what happened from there. I couldn't, another thing is, again, I was young. I had turned 18 when I went back, but, I didn't know exactly what I could or couldn't do. And staying
But you
here
had a
States,
goal of being a reining trainer. That was a goal.
I did.
Yours,
And I already thought that it needed to be in Brazil because that's where I need to go back to. And so, but when I got back, and I had to finish high school, I had one more year of high school to finish, then my parents told me, I said, I want to finish high school and then go horse training. They said, why don't you try, because there in Brazil you have to do a test to get in vet school, or because it's straight from high school that you go to vet school. You don't need to do college, undergrad. So they said, why don't you try the test, for whatever you want to go, to college, and then if you don't pass, then yes, but give it a try. So I did. I finished high school, and then I did the test. And I did for 3 universities. I got approved for all 3 of them.
So to do what, though? Be a veterinarian?
Vet school, yeah.
Vet school.
Yeah.
So why did you pick vet school,
Because it was associated to what I wanted to do, which is
the horse.
The horses,
So did you have to specialize in vet school for horses or just all animals in general?
It's everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
Dogs, cats,
yeah.
the whole deal.
Towards the end is where you specialize.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I go like, okay, I I'm going to go to vet school. I told them I would, and then I want to, but I still want to be a horse trainer. So
you got that burning passion.
Yeah, so the 3 that I chose to apply for, all 3 were in cities or states that had a lot of horses, differently than where I was living. So
And this is still in Brazil.
that's still in Brazil, yeah. So I picked one out of the 3, and then because I didn't have any contact there, no friends or anything related to the horses, I did the dumbest thing, that was start riding bulls.
Okay.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So before I, during that last high school, I started riding bulls at my home, my town that I was living in, and then so when I went to that vet school, I started riding college rodeo.
Okay. Why? Did you enjoy it? Thrill of the chase? There's a lot of women there. What was your fucking motivation?
All of it, I guess, but and it was, I tell you what, the adrenaline, the whole thing, it was fun. It was so good. And then even the university staff sponsored me, so they paid all my traveling, all that stuff. So I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
But it was dumb too.
You could have got seriously hurt.
Well, I got hurt, a few times. I would show up in a cast all the time at school, but you got to do stupid things to learn
when
lessons,
you're young,
right?
you do stupid things. So how long does this rodeo bull riding phase last?
Until I got there was about, I rode it for about a year and a half in college. Then actually the Monica, which is now the president of the Quarter Horse Association in Brazil, she was from that town, and then she gave me a horse to train. I said, okay, so I'm getting paid to do this. This is what what I wanted to do. I got to quit the bull riding because I can't get hurt.
Yep.
So I started training her horse for her, one horse.
Was it supposed to be a reining horse? What was it supposed to do?
To do reining.
Okay.
So that was my,
that was your goal.
My main goal, to have a horse to train to do reining since I was a little kid. So from that horse, I started building, and I was national champion on that horse. Then I got a few more horses in training.
And you're still in school though at this time?
Oh yeah, I was going. I was going to.
And vet school's what, 4 years down there? How long is vet?
It is 5 years.
5 years down there. So you're still in college to be a vet, and you're training horses on the side.
I was in my second year of vet school, and so I was going back and forth. Like I would have a class, go to do the class, go back to the ranch, ride a horse or two, go back to the next class. I was going back.
You're juggling it.
Yeah, and then but I did really good on her horse. Then actually the feature year of that horse was in '97. I did 5 spins.
Okay.
My first feature, understood.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And then my second one. So I ended up that second year, '98. I won the national championship of her mare, and then my feature horse, I won the feature.
Okay,
won the feature, scored a 77 with.
So by this stage, reining's taking off from Brazil. Reining's getting popular down there.
Yes, it was already kind of very popular.
Okay, so it wasn't an up and it'd been established for a while, is what I'm asking.
It was. Yes. It had the Brazilian Reining Horse Association doing really well. It was the association feature.
Yeah.
I mean, it was big. Actually, now maybe it's bigger, but that time was one of the prime for reining in Brazil.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're juggling 2 different careers. You're trying to be a reining horse trainer and going to vet school. Are you struggling going through vet school when you're training this many horses? Are you keeping up with your studies? Was that a hard deal?
It was not. I worked hard, but no, it wasn't that hard.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
and
so you graduate vet school, and what are you doing now? What do you decide to do now?
So by the time I graduated from vet school, I had a full training operation at that time already in Brazil. Then I moved and I started a even bigger operation because I started doing styling station, recipient mare place, mare care, the whole 9 yards, a breeding.
Okay, so you thought to yourself, with all this vet, so you graduate as an equine vet?
Yes.
Help me out. So you graduate in Brazil as an equine vet. So you're taking this knowledge now and trying to make more money as far as doing the breeding deal, standing stalls. You just want to expand everything.
Correct. So I did during my last year, I did my internship in college in Navasota with Dr. T-Bone at Brazos Valley Equine. So when I went back to Brazil, I had some more equine knowledge as a vet, and then I started this breeding operation too. That was in the year 2000.
Did you see just a need for it, Thiago? Like, what did you see that nobody else had a niche market? You could do better than everybody else. There was a lot of money to be made. Like, give me some more reasons of why, because you're obviously got a full barn of training reining horses. That was your dream, to train reining horses. So you're deviating a little bit and getting off here into the breeding and all that type of stuff. What made you do that? Was it strictly a money deal? Was nobody doing it in the area and you said, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to get a foot in? Tell me mentally where you were. And there's no shame in saying, hey, my whole fucking career was about money. So don't be ashamed. You said, hey, there's a good way to make some money. I went and did it. I publicly say I didn't love what I did. I did it for the fucking money. And I'm not ashamed of that. Everybody's got to get up and do something for money.
Yeah. No, I always worried about the future. It wasn't the money. It was what is going to be my future,
Meaning retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where do you end up? Did you see that riding reining horses eventually was not a dead end job, but as far as it had its limits to your body? Were you thinking about what happens if you get hurt, or were you thinking the breeding could be a great place to retire eventually?
I just thought that at that time in Brazil, making a living out of training horses wasn't that great.
Okay, modest living.
Yes. So since I could do other things, why not doing them?
Yeah.
And making more money and making a better living.
Yeah, so in reality, it was a better living.
Yeah, I got married a year later, and so, you're thinking about, future, family and all that. So I thought that was a good extra business for my...
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the passion was always training the horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of people's passions often don't make that much money. When you really think about what you're passionate about, most people can't make a damn good living of what they love to do. And even they make a damn good living doing things they don't want to do.
Even what they're best at,
Yes.
It's still not, depending on what it is, it's not easy to...
I think 90% of people that are self-made millionaires and billionaires, most of them didn't love what they did that got rich off. They were just good at it. They noticed a niche. They had a niche market. They were good at what they did. They saw an opening in the market and they took it. But if you said, I always use the expression, the guy that owns a concrete plant, he doesn't fucking love concrete. He loves the 50 trucks going down the road that are selling concrete.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I don't, the old saying about, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's all true in poetry. But reality is most people don't get to make a lot of money doing something they love to do.
You're right.
As a general rule. I know it's not sexy. It ain't romantic. But that's the fucking truth of it. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree 100%. But it's actually sometimes, even though that is the thing that you love doing, when you do it professionally, when you do it for the money, sometimes that changes.
It does, doesn't it? You lose your passion for it.
You can lose your passion for it.
I often tell young people, be careful what you ask for, because they'll say, I really want to do this. And I say, well, right now, if it's fun for you because you're just riding 1 or 2 horses after work. If you're out here doing this for 14, 15 hours a day, you might take your passion and turn it into a job. And when it turns into a job, sometimes it loses some of that.
Not always, but sometimes
it loses some of that sexiness, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. Just like training horse professionally, you have several bosses that you got to answer.
Which is the owners, yeah.
The owners, and then they all have their own way of seeing your success or your failure. So it's hard because you gotta, you think you have your own business that you just answer to yourself. No, you have all them clients that you got to answer to. And
I think most assistants, I don't know if you were like this, but most assistants, I think they think their boss's job is fucking easy, that all they do is make all this money and ride horses. They have no idea of how much time energy, mental exhaustion it takes to run a horse training business. You're right. You don't have one boss. You got 30 or 40 of them. Exactly. You got 30 or 40 people. You're constantly answering phone calls, texts, billing. Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into horse training than just training the damn horse. I tell the apprentices all the time, be thankful, because when you leave my ranch, you don't get to ride horses anymore. Now you have to be the accountant.
Business.
You have to be organize the farrier, the hay, all that shit. You know what I mean? You remember when Dwayne Latimer was really kicking ass with Loomis? When him and Loomis got together, it was like the perfect magic cross, wasn't it? When he left Carroll's, he went to Loomis's. What did he win? The intermediate futurity on, what was his name? Top Gun Whiz.
Yeah.
That next year. It's like those two, when they got together, they just kicked ass. But when you really think about that, all Dwayne did was rode. He just rode his 8-9 horses a day. Loomis did everything else. Loomis talked to the customers. Loomis did the selling. Loomis organized the hay. Loomis did everything that allowed Dwayne to be the best trainer, and he was an exceptional, and is an exceptional trainer, but allowed Dwayne to train horses.
Yes.
That's pretty rare, isn't it?
Yes, that's one. The other one is, and I tell my guys, like, I have hired trainers, right? Top of the line. I mean, they are great.
Yep.
Great level 4 trainers and showmen, and they I make sure they know how much better it is for them to be employed instead self-employed, whatever you want to call it, because they don't have to worry about anything. They just need to worry about go ride their horses.
Yes.
Stay
focused.
Do the best of what they can do the best, you know, and some of them don't see that. You know, they see the other one that went on his own, got a barn full of horses, but they have a trailer to pay for that they're paying, truck, etc. Name it. And then they need to order hay. They need to
tractor brakes, new sand, drag doesn't break. The horse ripped off the water in the barn. Who's going to fix it?
This guy didn't pay his bill. This client, you know, and then this client is complaining about something that's not legit, you know, and so
keeping this trainer for, you know, it's often, isn't it funny in the horse world? It seems like the customers that are the best customers to get along with and the most enjoyable people typically have the least talented horses, and the ones that are never going to get them where the owner wants them to go or you want them to go. And the people that have the very best horses are typically, not always, I'm not using the word always, but the biggest fucking pain in the asses in the world. And you have to constantly suck their dick and put up with their bullshit because they've got the best fucking horse in your barn. Isn't that just, do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I mean, the ones that get lamed, they get lame and sore and won't go to the horse show and stuff belongs to the best guys, you know. And
yes. Yeah. The ones you really want to do well on are also the ones that give you the most hell, you know.
Yep.
I think when young apprentices, you know, go out on their own, I think a lot of them are very unprepared for the business side of horse training. What it takes to run a training barn, from billing to organization to entry fees. I think a lot of them don't even remotely think about that shit. They just think it's riding horses. And unfortunately, unless you've got a good woman or somebody in your life that's going to pick up that entire slack, they're in for a rude shock.
Yes, they don't, you know, their school is training horses. So they go to work for a trainer that they spend years or not, but they, you know, learning how to train horses. But that's what they learn. They don't learn how to run a business or things like this. And I'll be honest with you, the woman, like you said, the wife, she can be great, but can be a huge problem.
Can be a huge pain in the ass.
In your business, in
your
marriage,
operation, yes.
You know, because the end of the day, a horse trainer is the business. It's not. You know, it's that person, that guy.
Yep.
And when you have your wife, and if she knows how much she can do, it's great. But if she gets too much into it and you know, that client, he wants to talk to that trainer. He doesn't want to talk to his wife. And
I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but fuck it, that's what the podcast is about, stirring bitches up. But I'll say this on camera, okay? A great woman in your life will either make you or fucking break you.
No kidding. Yeah.
It will either, like take Tish Frapani, for example. Tish behind the scenes is Andrea behind the scenes. What that woman organizes, she lets him train horses. and talk to the customer.
That's great. That's perfect.
You know what I mean?
You know?
She is extremely a major part of his success, and he'll admit it openly. But I've also seen horse trainers, and I'm not going to mention their names, that their wives fucking half ruined their businesses, especially when the wife's a non-pro. They'll run off every other non-pro in the business. You know what I mean? We both, I'm not going to say his name, but you know one for sure. We both know a guy that his wife used to be a non-pro, and she ran off his entire non-pro business. Yeah. Because they get jealous of the other non-pros. They get jealous of the other customers in the barn. And his business went to shit. He had a very successful business until he married her.
That's one example of how she can ruin the business. Yeah. But there are others, you know. It's how you talk to the client. If you know, like you said about Tish, is she the one that does the talking with the clients on that? No, I don't think so. Maybe a little billing situation or something. But he does about those horses, about, you know, where the horse needs to go or not, discussing with the client. He does all of it. And I think that's where you got to have a separation then. Some of these wives, they don't. They want to, you know, be the boss of, you know, and it's not. The business is that trainer. It's not.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that 100%. And the other thing is, and I'm speaking from experience, I fucked this up a lot, is it's not easy having your wife and husband in the same business together. When you get home at the end of the day, what'd you do, honey? The same fucking thing you did. Like, there's not much to talk about. When you're that, I always have a saying, you can't miss something that's never gone, Thiago. Yeah. When you're around each other 24/7, you travel together, you live together, there's no break at all. It can be taxing on relationships. It's been my Achilles heel my whole life, is I've always dated and been in relationships with women that were in my business. And it's destroyed every one of them, ultimately, the business part of it, because we're just constantly stuck at the hip. I don't do it now. Yeah. I have a great woman now, but she's not in my fucking business, and she'll never get in my fucking business because I want to keep my relationship separate from my businesses.
My wife, she always helped me with it. I asked her to help me with it. So she never tried to, you know, stick her finger in any, and still doesn't, you know, like, I mean, she takes care of my family, and that's a full-time job.
Very much so. You know, like I said, a great woman, there's nothing better. Tara Gaines, Matt sat here openly and wept and said how much he appreciates his wife and what she does in that business. And she's a great example of a great woman, Tara Gaines, that supports her man. She doesn't get ahead of her man. She supports her man and lets him be the winner he is, but he acknowledges without her and her influence, his career would never be what it is today, and he openly admitted that.
Yeah, but that support will come from home. It doesn't come from sitting in the desk in the business office. You know, it's from home. Yeah. At least that's how
I agree. Nothing better than a great woman, and there's nothing worse than a toxic one that'll fuck up your business. I'll get some shit for that, but I don't care. But that's the truth. It's called Uncut and Real Raw for a reason.
Breaking Bad is a 2020 stallion by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Out of the all-time leading broodmare Sweet Abra, he is dual-registered AQHA and APHA and is 6-panel NN. At just 5 years old, he has already earned over $200,000 and is still showing. He is nominated to the major NCHA and NRCHA stallion programs and is part of the new Legacy Bonus, which has an estimated payout of $1 million to be paid at the 2025 NCHA Futurity. For more information or to request your breeding contract, contact Beau Gallion Stallion Services or Fultz Ranch at 806-672-6039.
You know, every trainer's looking for an edge on their competition. You know, whether it's a better horse, better way to train it. But really, in reality, all the trainers have got access to great horses. All the trainers are doing a lot of the same techniques. To me, the next greatest edge on competition, whether you're reining, cutting, cow horse, eventing, or racing, is keeping your horses sound and ready for competition. For the last 4 years, I've been sparring my horses by Cold Creek Equine Spa, and I spar them for 20 minutes every day after I ride them at 36 degrees. It ices down all 4 legs. What a game changer. My vet bills have been cut back by 50%. My horse's soundness has been gone through the roof, okay? People think that spas are expensive. It'll pay for itself just on saving on vet bills in the first 18 months. Spas have been around for a long time, but for years they've been junk. They are broken more than they actually work. You needed to be like a plumbing engineer to make the some bitches work. Cold Creek Equine are using the latest technology, industrial strength machines that are basically maintenance free. Anybody can operate this thing. Even me as a horse trainer, I can operate it. And more than anything, it stays working. Go to their website, check them out. It's a game changer. In the next 10 years, if you're a professional horse trainer, if you don't have a spa, you will be left behind on your equine soundness. This episode is brought to you in part by Silver Spurs Equine, home of the $1 million challenge. So, Thiago, we're back after a break, mate. So you basically kind of said, okay, I need a future for me and my family. You recognized that you could use the skill set you got from being a veterinarian to stand stallions, reproductive, breed mares, etc. Did you see a little bit of a niche for it that nobody in that area was doing that as well? Or you thought you could do it better? You know, talk to me a little bit about that part of it.
Actually, there were other places doing breeding at that area. There was a demand for it, yes. I mean, at that time I was in São Paulo state that had most of the quarter horses in Brazil, and so it was.
Why do they flock there? Why? What? It's a town. Is that a town or a state you keep mentioning?
It's a state.
It's a state.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that state drawing all the horses?
So, São Paulo is economically, you know, it's where the money is.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. So
money from what industry? Farming, agriculture, what?
Well, not farming. Mainly business people, you know.
Business people.
Horse owners and business owners and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just start standing studs. How'd it go?
Well, you see, like you're saying, I think a trainer can only ride so many horses a day.
Yeah.
The day has just so many hours, you know. So when you start looking at that, you can only charge so much.
Very much so.
So at the end of the day, you either grow your training operation which I did, which you have assistant trainers and all that stuff, and it's still not a good money making unless you, like here in the States now, especially nowadays, you make really good money with prize money, you know.
But it wasn't always like that.
No, it wasn't like
for
that
many
at
years.
all. No.
Would you agree that it's really only been in the last 5-6 years that you could honestly say that if you're a very successful horse trainer in the Western disciplines, cutting, reining, cow horse, you could actually make a damn good living if you're one of the top guys now. But even 6 years ago, I personally wouldn't have said you have to be an exceptional winner to make some damn good money. Most horse trainers are making a living, they're paying their mortgage off, and they might be saving a little bit for retirement, but that's about it. But in the last 6 years, with prize money going through the roof, what is the reining futurity now to win it? $350,000?
Yes.
$350,000 to win it.
Yeah.
That and since COVID, horse prices are pretty much doubled.
Correct.
You know, wouldn't you say now is the best time in history if a young person wanted to be a horse trainer?
I agree, 100%. But it wasn't that way.
Would you agree that it changed about 6 years ago or not?
Correct. When I quit.
Yeah, when you quit, you dumb motherfucker.
Yeah. I don't mind. I still don't mind.
I'm just giving you shit,
yeah,
mate.
but yes, it's when I quit. It's when I quit. I quit winning the AQHA Senior World in 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just about
right about time.
Yeah.
That's like me when I go to buy stocks. Right just before it crashes, I start buying.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah.
Okay, so you get into this breeding deal. Was it a success? Was it not a success? How'd that whole operation go?
Yeah, it was a success, and because of that, I actually came to the States with a client. Actually, a group of let me take it back. With one client. And then I was shopping for horses.
For you to train?
For me to do something with it.
Either breed, train,
exactly.
Just something to do with you.
So I ran across this at Carlos de Lou, this really good 2-year-old by Rooster that I just fell in love. You know, I said, we gotta buy this colt. And so we put a group of 5 together in Brazil to buy that colt. Mm-hmm.
Carlos had him in training as a 2-year-old?
Yes, it was about April of his 2-year-old year. It wasn't, he was just, but he was really, really nice. So we put this group of guys together and we bought him. I was one of the 5. So we took him to Brazil and then I trained him. So that's where, and yes, my operation was doing well. I had stallions, I had mares. I had recipient mares. I had the training. It was decent sized operation, overall operation. But when that horse was amazing. He was gorgeous and he was awesome. The best.
They were so pretty. The roosters, the grey starlights, the roosters. They changed the. Don't you think those two sires changed the pretty game? Especially for the reiners, cow horses, those horses' heads.
Yeah, and they were, soaring the bay, but gorgeous bay horse, like Rooster was a and this horse looked a lot like Rooster himself.
What was he out of? Do you remember?
He was out of a Lucky Little Linamare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so best horse I rode.
So you trained him as a futurity horse?
I did, and and that's where the whole thing changed because I brought him here to the States.
As a 3-year-old?
As a 3-year-old.
Okay.
So I went to Doug Milholland's place down in Purcell, Oklahoma. That's where that's who took me in to have my horse with, and then.
So did you do this weeks before the futurity or months?
Yeah,
or what?
I came a little bit before the Southwest futurity.
So maybe early September.
Late September.
Late September. Okay.
Yeah. The horse came a little before me, and then I came about. Actually, when the horse came late September, I came in October sometime. So I started riding him at Doug's, and Doug had a horse accident while I was there, and then he had me ride his 3-year-olds for him. He liked what I was doing with my horse and stuff. I had a lot of time. He had, his assistants were all busy with, their horses. So he had, hey, can you ride these horses for me? And he liked what I was doing and stuff. And he ended up inviting me to come and work for him.
Okay. What year would this have been?
2003.
Okay.
That horse, I took him to the futurity. Never shown a horse in the States because I didn't get to show when I was at Joe's. And I ended up 7th in the level 4.
That's awesome.
So
what was that horse's name?
Rooster's True Luck.
Okay.
So I was 7th in the level 4. I was like 3rd in the other 2 levels because there were only 3 levels at the time. So I won like $51,000 that night.
That's huge for you because that's your dream, isn't it? You're a young Brazilian kid wanting to be a reiner trainer. You get to compete in America, which is why I came to America because that's where everything the world was if you wanted to be in horses. So that was a big boost for your confidence?
It was huge, especially coming from my first go-around that I scored a 213.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, shit, I need, hopefully I can make the level 2 final.
Yeah.
Actually, the limit open finals, because how could I score? The composite scores were like needing maybe 438 or so, right?
Yeah.
So I was hoping for level 1, any level finals. Then I came back to the second go round and I scored a 224.
Okay.
On that horse, so I ended up making the level 4 finals. I was the last one in.
See, back in those days, a 224 was huge.
Oh,
like today, the horses have got so good now, Thiago, in the scoring. 224 doesn't even get you a lot of places now, does it? But back in those days, then, 224 was huge.
I was close to, maybe I was like 3rd in that go round. I mean, out of 400 and some horses.
Yeah, it was a big score.
It was big, and then so I made it back. And just how they do, they bring the finalists back into the arena during the non-pro finals, before the non-pro finals and stuff. Man, when I walked in and they announced how your lifetime earnings, and mine was 0. Mine was 0 in RHA earnings when I walked in the level 4 finals. And then you line up with those guys that
all your heroes.
Yeah, that you just see in the magazine, right? That's how it was then.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, and then so you walking in there and shaking all of their hands. It was.
It's a great memory.
Yeah, great memory.
So what happens then? You do well at the futurity. Where's your headset? You want to go back to Brazil? You want to come to America? Where are we at here?
So the place that I didn't have my own place in Brazil. I rent a place, where I ran that operation. So
And clearly, you must have other vets or breeding people running this whole breeding operation. You've got employees running this for you. You know.
Yeah,
correct?
I had one vet that used to work with me in the breeding side, and I had assistant trainers.
Yeah.
But what happened is, and things as line up so well, where the place that I was renting, the guy wanted to sell. Actually, it was Carlos Delu.
Okay.
He still had a place in Brazil that when he used to train in Brazil.
Oh, that was his place.
So it was his place. So he decided that he wanted to sell. He called me and said, "Hey, do you want to buy my place?" I didn't have no money to buy a ranch, a horse ranch. So I said, "Man, I wish I could, but I can't." So I was like, "Man, I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to find another place, and move all these horses, move my." And then Doug had invited me to come and work for him. I called my wife, said, "Hey, do you want to move to the States?"
Yeah.
She said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, Carlos wants to sell his place. We have this opportunity to come and work for Doug, and I think we should." It was just the two of us, and she said, "Let's do it."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, that's a good woman, isn't it? Just gets behind you.
Yeah, because, she never been to the States. She never left the country. Yeah. And she was damn British. She said, "Yeah, let's do it."
That's fucking awesome. That's powerful right there. A woman that backs her man and says, "Fuck yeah, let's go do it." That's powerful.
Yeah. And she was a lawyer. She graduated in law school that year, 1 year before that. Mm-hmm. And she just quit, just quit chasing that.
Yeah.
So because there is no, whatever she learned in law school in Brazil, she couldn't use here.
Yeah.
Period. So
that's a great woman.
Then we
You got kids
moved.
By this point?
No
kids. So it's a little easier to move, just the two of you.
Exactly. It was just the two of us. We had to, I had to go back and tell all my clients, I'm making this move, and they were very supportive. It's a.
They knew it was your dream.
Yeah, and so that was after the Futuri of 2003. In February of 2004, we were here.
Okay. So were you just going to lease stalls from Milholland or work for him? What was the deal?
To work for him.
Okay, as like one of his
as
main
an assistant
trainers.
trainer. Yeah. But he also had pastures and had a couple of studs that his clients want to stand, and so he said, "Hey, you can do this. So why don't you stand these studs for us and breed these mares and do that kind of stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I can do that." So when I came, like I said, I had all that off. I have 20% of that stud, and then everything else belonged to clients, and so I didn't have much money. So I
packed up your tack and clothes, and you were there.
Very much, and came. I bought a little ultrasound machine. Stuff to do horses' teeth, and that's what my money paid for. And when I came, and so I started palpating mares there at Doug's, training horses, palpating mares, and collecting studs. And then Doug connected with Brett Stone's mom. What's her name?
Was it Rosetta? No, not Rosetta. I know who you're talking about, but anyway, yeah.
She had Boomernick.
Uh-huh.
So. She actually sent the stud for us to stand. So I stood Boomernick for a couple of years.
Where at Doug Mulholland's place?
At Doug Mulholland's place.
Wasn't Doug a partner in Boomernick?
No.
No, he wasn't. I know Al was.
Al was, yes.
There was like Al and Frank Merrill was.
Yeah, and actually the place is right across the street from Frank Merrill's old place.
Oh, that's where Doug Mulholland's place is. Old place was.
Yes, Windward Stud right there, So I don't know how he connected. I don't remember how he had that connection with her, but he brought me Boomernick.
And that would have been a pretty big deal back in those days, correct?
Because he wasn't that popular
he wasn't that popular then?
No.
Okay.
But
because those 2 or 3 years after he won the Futurity, he was huge.
Yeah, but when did he win the Futurity? 92?
92.
Yeah, so we're talking about 10 years later.
Yeah, so everybody's ridden the Colts, and a little bit of the hype's backed off a little bit.
Yeah. So, but I did a little bit of that when I first moved here for Doug, and it was fun. So I always did both. You know, I always try to do both.
Let me ask you, I don't know a lot about your training per se, because when I was a lot more into the reiners, your horses always looked very broke, really well trained, etc. Did you and Doug's training mesh well? Was it completely different the way that they train? Doug was a little bit old school, loose rein, East Coast, nose out. You know what I mean? Did your training philosophy and techniques kind of mesh with Doug? Did Doug just say, hey, you do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to tell you how to train a horse. You do what you want. I'll do what I want. How did you two mesh training-wise?
Pretty much like that. I always like to talk to the old guys,
Yes.
and I think we can learn a lot more from them than because as a horse trainer, you're not going to replicate what somebody else does. You're going to have to do your own stuff.
Find your own style.
Yeah, but I think those people, they had to ride horses that were not supposed to be doing,
what they were doing.
So at the end of the day, they made them do it. So they knew things that you can apply.
They had to get that horse that wasn't very good at stopping.
Yeah, so I think I not only, yes, he let me do whatever, but he helped me a lot too.
That's awesome.
He helped me a lot.
What do you think was the biggest horsemanship lessons or training style, or one or two little things you took from Doug's mentorship of horse training? Because in his peak in 1991, I think he won the Futurity in 91, and he was like third the year Boechat won at 92. That was really when he peaked. After Boechat, Doug's career, in my opinion, slowly just kind of went a little bit downhill because the style changed. Everything after Boechat went to bridling them up. West Coast, Avila came in, Todd Bergen came in, Andrea came in. There was a big shift in NRHA in the style of the brokenness of the horses. So in Doug's peak, when he was the man, his horses looked really good. What do you think you learnt from his training style that you wanted to add to what you were doing?
Actually, all of it. The thing about Doug's at the time when I was that was 2004 and 5, I think he just needed, not him, but his horses need just a step up. So they always, I loved riding his horses. They felt so broke.
That's good.
They just need to be stepped up and put more pressure on and go show. So again, all of his training helped me. So it was a.
You can't name anything in particular, like
I loved the way he teach them how to turn around.
How to turn around.
Yeah.
What was unique about it? Did he want them straight? Did he have a lot of bend? Can you name what he did in turning those horses around?
He got them very straight. Yeah.
Very straight.
Yeah, which I don't. I didn't, and I still don't.
You have a little more bent.
But that helped me understanding, the combination of the two, I guess.
Yeah, because sometimes you got to put a little straighter. Sometimes you got to put a little more bend in.
That's it.
You got to. Do you agree? This is a reining trainer. For me personally, the hardest maneuver of training a reining horse is actually the spin, and for me, I'll tell you why. It ebb and flows. It never stays the same.
Yeah.
Just when you get one turning around and you're really happy and you're like, man, I figured this motherfucker out. He's turning around brilliant. 3 days from now, that won't work.
It's such a body control, and it doesn't mean it applies to all the horses the same way.
But do you also agree? Very much I agree with you. But do you also agree or disagree? Please disagree if you need to. That even within the same horse, it changes.
It does.
From week to week.
Yeah.
Just because you got this with this horse this week, next week you go to turn him around, you're like, oh, this kind of feels like shit. It's not really working.
That's what I'm saying.
Out of all the reining maneuvers, circles, stops, lead changes, to me, the one that is the hardest to get consistently right is a really good turnaround.
It's correct, but it's also one of the few maneuvers that I felt like the horses just keep getting better. Like turnaround and lead change. They, as a 4-year-old, they get better, a little better. 5-year-old will turn better. They just keep learning that. It's such a let's say, unnatural maneuver for them that they keep learning the step by step, and then they just keep getting better. It's not like, like when you have a badass stopping horse as a 3-year-old, he's going to be stopping the same way. He doesn't really keep getting better. or worse. I mean, it does get worse when it gets older, and then they kind of. A horse that is a good turner as a 3-year-old, he can be badass turner as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
It just keep getting better.
Yeah. Valley Equine Reproduction is the premier equine breeding facility located in Stephenville, Texas. I've worked with the team there multiple times and had nothing but great experiences. Formerly known as the Brazos Valley Stallion Station, they offer everything. They manage over 45 stallions, including some of the most renowned in the industry. They offer mare care and breeding services, foaling out services, a recent mare program, sales fitting and rehabilitation services. Plus, their Super Stallion Incentive Program has awarded substantial payouts. In 2024, the program paid out $1.4 million across the NCHA and NRCHA. If you're in the breeding business, you have to check out Valley Equine Reproduction. Visit them online at valleyequinerepro.com or give them a call at 254-485-8280.
See Clinton Anderson and his Down Under Horsemanship method live. Order tickets now for the Walkabout Tour in Waterloo, Iowa on September 6th and 7th. For ticket information, visit downunderhorsemanship.com.
This episode is brought to you in part by DT Horses, the elite Western performance breeder for cutting, cow horse, and rope horse futurity prospects. How long were you at Doug's training horses there? Where was your next move?
I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
Then
did you have your outside clients, or Doug got you all your clients that you were riding horses
both.
for?
I had his client and some of my own.
And did you have some good horses to ride? Were you showing?
I didn't, and that's the problem. When I did so well in the futurity, I became a level 4 only.
Yeah.
After one show.
Yeah. So you're knocked out.
I showed one time and I was out.
You've won too much money. You're out.
And then I come to work for Doug. That he didn't have that strong of a horsepower at the time anymore.
No.
And so imagine me, right? I mean,
new guy.
Yeah, I didn't have no horsepower to compete. So I struggled for.
Do you think you had, at that particular time of your career, Thiago, do you think you had better horsepower in Brazil or not?
I did.
Yeah. When you left Brazil,
did, yeah.
You had better horsepower there than in what you got there. Yeah.
I did. Not in numbers, but,
individuals.
Yeah. So, but then, I struggled for that next couple of years when I worked for Doug. As far as having the horsepower, it was great for me, like getting established here and all that.
Meet everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
how did you learn the English? Just through talking it, being around people?
Yeah.
You didn't go take classes on it and things like that?
No.
Yeah.
Just, in school you take a little bit of class, but it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
So
after 2 years you decide to move on, what happens?
Well, I had this job offer. It's still there in Purcell for Jim Bloomer. Jim Bloomer from Pennsylvania. He had.
I know the name. What was he connected to? What horse or what was he?
Yeah. What's his name? It'll come to me. He had this Zaccolina stud. And so he had the babies out of that stud, and that's what I was when I went to work for him. So he's from Pennsylvania. He had his ranch in Pennsylvania, and then he built one in Purcell. He needed somebody to run and train and do because he was still in Pennsylvania, and he didn't want to move down here. So he hired me to run the ranch for him. Again, to do. He had 2 studs. Brood mares. I flushed embryos. I collect the studs. I palpate the mares. I did the training. I managed the ranch, and I did that for him for 2 or 3 years. Then and during that time I also did some business with Brazil, like buying horses for Brazilians and ship them over. And
what were the years? I don't remember it, but I remember a time there was like a 5 to 8 year period that Brazil was on fucking fire with buying horses from America. Their economy was booming, and they were coming over here and not buying the 2nd or 3rd stringers, but really buying some high-powered genetic horses. What were the years that Brazil was kicking ass economically?
I think it's during that time. Like
what years were that? Do you
2006 remember? 2006 and on.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you agree, there was a period there where the Brazilians...
I was buying reiners, cutters, race horses, all kind of horses and shipping to Brazil.
Yeah.
So that was another business there for me. And so I quit my job. I got burned out from training at that time.
Training too many numbers, training not good enough quality. What do you think burnt you out on the training, mate?
Not good enough quality.
Okay. That was frustrating not having the stock.
Yeah, and so again, it's so hard, you're there however many hours a day on those horses, and then you just don't see a good result, and so
you can be the best trainer in the world, but if you don't have that horse with the talent to get you there, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm not going to mention any names, but I saw a guy last year at a horse show, extremely very good trainer. I have a lot of respect for this guy, won a lot of money. And for the first time in his career, I saw him show a horse that was pretty damn average. And he got a pretty damn average score. And I nudged my buddy Sam Smith beside me and I said, when was the last time you saw that guy ride into a pen with a horse with that limited talent? And he chuckled and he said, I haven't seen that in 20 years. And I said, it's funny how Superman doesn't look like Superman sometimes when you're not riding the right horse. Yeah. Now, not to take anything away, the great trainers are truly great trainers. But for a long time in my early part of my career, I almost personally put these trainers on such a pedestal that they could make any fucking horse do this shit. And the older I've got, the more I've realized, hell no. You can get an exceptionally good horse trainer, but you put him on some average horse stock, he looks pretty human pretty quickly. He looks
average, yes.
Would you agree or disagree with that?
For sure. So actually, it's Lena Sugarman, this stuff.
Oh, that's what it was. I remember that horse. He was a bay horse, wasn't he?
He was a sorrel horse.
Sorrel horse, was he? Who showed him?
Oh,
Did Florida show him? Somebody showed him.
Rocky There, I think.
That's right.
I think Rocky There showed him. But he produced good horses, but it's when things were changing.
Yes.
And,
we were getting out of the cutting bloodlines, weren't we?
Yes.
It was changing over. Back in those early days, we used to go to the cutting fraternity and buy cutting bred yearlings, and then it started changing more and more to the gunners, the
just
gunner
like
trashes.
The rooster, the rooster nowadays, But that's the Lena Sugarman at that time, and we did well on them. I did well on some of them, but lower levels. Level 4 finals here and there, but I just, I had so much of the other stuff that I was doing too. I go like, why?
And making good money doing it, making better money.
So I decided to quit that,
Do you think you doing so well at the fraternity, do you think that screwed you just a little bit mentally? Like you came over and did so well that you set the bar for yourself so high that when you couldn't get the stock to get you there, do you think that messed with your head a little bit, that you started out so well?
I think it did because I knew what I was capable of.
Yes.
Because that horse showed me I could do it, and yes, so it took after I decided I did quit training horses for a couple of years there, and then until this one person, from Mexico, his name is Lorenzo Vargas. He won me I helped him buy a horse, and just a horse, and he said, I want you to train it for me. All right, I can do that. And then but I was always like, I was never about the money in the training and all that stuff. So I go like 3 months later, I said, this horse is not going to work.
It's not good enough.
Yeah, he came to see his horse, and he said, well, but I like it. It looks good. So, well, but it's not going to work. So he said, what does it take? So I started explaining to him. I said, well, nowadays a good, you can decide what you want to buy. If you want to buy a yearling, you just go after a good-looking horse, good pedigree and stuff, and it's going to cost you, I don't remember how much, however much. If you want a good 2-year-old that a little more, it's already under saddle, etc.
A little less gamble.
It's it's going to cost a little more. It's going to cost however much. And then I said, now if you're going to go buy a 3-year-old that is doing good, it's going to cost you $150,000. That time,
That was good money back then.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then he said, all right, went back to Mexico. Then he called me and said, a week or so later, he calls me and said, hey, go find me a 3-year-old. Oh. Find a 2-year-old too. Oh, good.
That's awesome.
So,
did you know this guy had this kind of money to go play the game at this level? Did you have any idea he had the passion to go do it?
Not really. No.
Yeah. So he surprises you a little bit.
He surprised me a lot. So then, all right, so now I'm going to go horse shopping. I love that.
Who doesn't like going horse shopping?
Yeah.
Name a woman that doesn't like fucking shoe shopping, motherfucker.
Yeah, or purse, right?
Yeah, purse, yeah.
And so I started shopping, and again, being here, that was in 2010 already. So I already knew a lot of people and all that. So I started shopping, and I came across. I went to Arizona to. Randy Paul was riding at Also Real.
Working for Pat.
Yeah, so he had a horse there for Steve Simon that was a custom chrome. I tried him out, and then I also went to try another horse that was doing the cow horse, a Shiny Spark stud, and that was China's Voodoo Doctor.
Okay, who had him?
Kevin Stallings.
Okay, I don't know him.
Yeah.
Did you watch him as a 2-year-old?
That was early of his 3-year-old year.
Okay, and he was specifically going to be a cow horse.
Oh yeah, he was.
Because the Shiners back in those days would have been dominating the cow horse, correct? Back in those years, when Voodoo was a 3-year-old, Shiners would have been everything in the cow horse, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even NRBC paid up. He was riding him on a snaffle bit. Never seen a bride on his mouth and that kind of stuff. So I tried those horses. And and that guy Lorenzo, he was with me. We traveled together, trying these horses. When I tried Voodoo, I said, "This is the one." And
what made you even go look at a cow horse? Were you just in the area? Did somebody say, "Hey, Thiago, there's a fucking badass"?
You remember
3-year-old?
Peter Finney?
Yeah, I remember Peter Finney.
Peter knew about this horse somehow.
Okay.
And he told, I don't remember how we got connected. He told me about the horse. You got to try that horse. He's a good horse.
Okay, so somebody tipped you off.
Yeah. And so, let's go see him. And he was 200.
That's a lot of money for a damn cow horse 2-year-old back in those days.
For this guy to spend that kind of money, or convince somebody to spend that kind of money, or even having the courage to say, buy that one because that's the one. So then I told Lorenzo, said, listen, by no means I want to make you buy this horse, but that's the horse. He goes, okay. So 200,000. I said, oh shit. I said, we need to make an offer. All right. 150. No. We're not budgeting off. 180. No. So he goes.
You're trying to do your Brazilian fucking
and
magic.
Here we are. I'm Brazilian. He's Mexican. We try. We all.
You two assholes are on a standoff, aren't you?
We gotta win. We gotta get something out of this. So we go like, all right. Let us flush a name out because they own the mother.
Okay.
Let us flush a name out of that mare. They said, all right, you can do that. But we want 5 lifetime breedings. So
they got you again, didn't they?
And then Lorenzo got tired of it and said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, and that horse was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He was amazing.
What did you like so much about China's Voodoo?
His talent.
Talent.
Oh, man, he could do it all. Mm-hmm. He could, easy. I mean, like I said, I tried him as a cow horse. Mm.
Do you think he was behind when you tried him for the reining? Was he behind? He was so damn talented, he didn't really fall behind that much.
He was behind, but he was so talented.
He came up.
That it was. I felt it. I felt it's there. It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
When I put a bride on his mouth, and he always took everything. He actually was way too smart too. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of got in
his way a little bit.
In his way a little bit. He out thought things.
But that's a little bit. Don't you think that's a little bit of the cow horse breeding? Mm-hmm. Because yes, the cow horse cutting breeding are thinkers, and now it seems like we've got these reiners that they're so quiet.
Submits. Yeah,
I'm just going to say it. It's going to sound derogatory when I say this, but it's not meant derogatory. The reiners now, from my perspective looking in, are what I call dumb blood. Doug Carpenter always used to say, reiners need to be sleepy-eyed and quiet, and the cow horses and cutters need to be bright-eyed and on the muscle, like thinking, looking, bright-eyed, and alert. And the reiners need to be sleepy-eyed. Now with the gunners and a lot of the reining blood now is pure reining blood. There's no more cow horse and cutting bloodlines really in the reiners at all anymore. Maybe back 2 or 3 generations, but in the actual sire and dam, not much of it anymore. Those horses, the reiners now today, Thiago, look so much more quieter mentally than what the voodoo would have been. And would you agree or disagree with that?
100%. I think the difference is, the cow horses, the cutters, the bell racers, whatever, they have a reference. It's either that barrel or that cow or, the reiners don't.
They're a robot, aren't they?
So
they're going to be told what to do.
They need to be dumb, like you said.
Dumb blood.
Where they just need to pay attention to what you're telling them to do and say, yes, sir, I'll do it. And then when they think too much, they won't do it.
Get in trouble.
They'll get in trouble. They'll anticipate too much.
Yes.
And that's what happened to Voodoo with me.
So you showed him at the Futurity.
I showed him at the
How'd you
Futurity.
do?
I made the finals. And he could have won it. And then the finals, he just overreacted.
A few things?
Yeah, and then we ended up 12th or something. But I actually had 2 horses in that finals. The other one was Wimpy Needs a Cocktail, which wasn't as talented of a horse as Voodoo was, but he already placed. He won the level 2. I won the level 2 on him, was like maybe second or so in the level 3, or won the level, second or so in level 3, then 6 or 7 in the level 4 Cocktail. But Voodoo was the better horse,
Cocktail looked like a quieter horse.
He was what we're calling, the dumb horse, So I kept showing next year.
How did you get Cocktail? If you don't mind me backing up, how'd you get that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because Cocktail, I didn't get him until October of his 3-year-old year.
Oh, truly?
Yeah. So Jordan had him.
Okay.
Jordan had him for Mexicans. Some people in Mexico. But at one point, Mark Shows, that owned Wimpy at the time, convinced these people to take it to Sean. And they did. After Jordan showed him in Tulsa, maybe?
Yeah.
So they took him to Sean, that actually showed him somewhere in North Carolina, somewhere there.
Yeah, a little Futurity.
Yeah. I'm talking about after Congress, So Sean decided, I'm not going to show him the big Futurity.
At that point.
And that actually was Jordan's best horse.
Oh, man. So Jordan's pissed.
Time. So he's mad. But funny thing is, if I'm not wrong, Jordan took in Spook Got a Whiz.
That same year.
That came.
That's
so
interesting.
he lost Cocktail, but he replaced it with Spook Got a Whiz.
Yeah, and didn't he get Spook's Got a Whiz like 4 days? He only rode him 4 or 5 days before
It wasn't
the Futurity.
much. I don't know the details, but it
from
wasn't.
the story I heard is Jordan got that horse and had like 4 fucking rides on it. Tanya Jenkins did a hell of a job training him.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm sure she's pissed still, probably to this fucking day.
So she was as pissed as Jordan was when he lost.
Yes.
But it worked out for Jordan, didn't work out for Tanya.
Yes,
but,
I felt for Tanya. I got to be honest. I did.
Yeah, me too.
Every
Me too.
good trainer feels for another trainer when they lose their best 3-year-old that they've worked their ass off for 2 years training, and you lose it, whether it's a fight with the customer or the customer gets some bad information from one of their friends and says you need to get rid of it. It just for a lot of people listening, it's fucking gut wrenching when a trainer loses that horse.
It's the worst feeling.
It is. It's like losing one of your own kids.
Yes.
Because those horses are your future. If you win, you get better horses the next year. If you don't win, you get less good horses the next year. So it is literally career changing, those horses. So when you lose a good one, it's fucking hard on you.
It is. So
Jordan ended up winning the Futurity. Worked out for him. Lost his best one. So Sean fires it. You get it.
Because of my connection with my owner, Lorenzo.
Yep.
So it got back to me through the Mexicans, and say, hey, Thiago, we don't want to leave the horse. Sean wants his assistant to show. I don't remember who it was at the time.
Probably Robin.
But it could be Robin.
Yeah.
But they want. We want to send you the horse. You want to take him? I only had Voodoo, which is a great horse. So of course I'll take him. And I remember Jordan riding him.
Where are you training out of at this point? What facility?
Okay, yeah, I gotta go back a little bit because when we bought Voodoo, and on our way back from Arizona, Lorenzo in the airplane, he said, and I was riding out of Todd Iverson's place there in Purcell.
Okay.
Just renting stalls. So Lorenzo said, go find a place. So what do you mean? He said, find a place that we can buy and you can train out of. I said, well, what do you want? I mean, you can't just buy a place like this. I said, why don't you put a business plan together? Let's start a horse operation here in the States. I said, all right, I can do that. So I did. I put a business plan together, and that was Extra Quarter Horses.
Ah, that's where Extra Quarter Horses got started.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's making sense now.
The whole business. I named it.
Did you build that ranch as well, or was that already there?
I built most of it. Okay. I mean, well, not most of it. There wasn't. Troy did. Troy Compton.
Oh, he built it.
Yeah.
That's right, because he was training pleasure horses out of it, correct?
Yes. So it was 125 acres. There was his indoor arena and the show barn and another barn on the back. I added to the arena, built the stallion barn, other barns, bought more land. We did
put the whole package together
slowly. But yeah, so then we started Extra Quarter Horses, me and Lorenzo.
And you're still training horses and doing all this other stuff together, correct?
Correct. Yes. So there we actually bought the custom chrome horse from Randy Poe too. Mm-hmm. So
you had some good stock.
And then I got excited again, for training horses. Then through that same year, that was the beginning of 2010. And somewhere in between that and the Futuri, we bought Wimpy's Little Stab.
Okay.
I mean, we were nobody. I mean,
so this guy, his name was Lorenzo, correct? Mm-hmm. So he surprises you a lot. Like you don't think when you first meet him, you don't think this guy's going to be a big player, and he ended up being a huge player in the NRHA.
Yes, yes. So
what did he do for a living? What did he do?
He
for
has
money?
A travel agency, like competition to Expedia and all that stuff there in Mexico. It's really big in Mexico. Yeah. So Wimpy, I guess Mark shows and his wife at the time.
They get divorced.
They got divorced and they got ugly and whatever.
Yeah,
and then
Mark got out of horses.
And they came to me since we, somehow it got to me that he would sell the horse. And then we put this deal together and we bought him. And so we went from having a single horse, because we not only bought Wimpy, we bought his whole inventory of horses.
And Mark had some damn good horses.
He did.
And back in this day, when you bought Wimpy, he would have been at the prime of his career.
He was.
Yeah, he was breeding a lot of mares.
Yeah, it was, the highest selling horse in the history at the time.
At the time, yeah.
So we had a ranch full of horses now, and so owners of Wimpy's Little Stab. So Extra Quarter Horse
gets put on the map.
Develop a name pretty quick.
Yeah.
So. And
so at this point, are you still trying to? Is your goal changed to where you want to win the futurity? Is that where your mindset is? Like you got the reining bug again.
Yeah, I knew I had the horse for it.
Yeah, you had the horsepower.
I had the horsepower for it. So yes, I was really excited about that. But I still did it all. I still did the breeding. Then I did bring another vet from Brazil to help me with the breeding. I always try to surround myself with good, competent people, right? So I brought a vet from Brazil to help me. I tried to get people to do what I could what somebody else could do for me. Like if I kept for myself what I felt like I was the only one that could do it. At least for that time. So that's how I started growing that business. The extra quarter horses.
Yep. So Wimpy was your first stud. Well, Wimpy and Cocktail, correct?
Wimpy, Voodoo, and Cocktail.
Okay,
right?
they were the first 3 studs you stood there.
The only 3 that I did
yeah.
through extra quarter horses.
So how did it go then? Those next few years, how did your horse showing do? How'd the ranch do? What happened there the next few years?
I mean, it did really well. I developed this deal, where we were raising about 70 babies a year.
Okay.
So we would sell half as a yearling, keep the other half, start as a 2-year-old, sell half, keep the other half, then show half of them, and then sell. And so it was working really well that way. Do
you think that was the ranch profitable?
It was profitable.
That's hard to do. These big ranches are fucking money pits, a lot of them.
Yeah, so we sold, I stood the stud. That's another thing, we stood our own studs.
So you got it profitable. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it was profitable. It made decent money.
Yeah.
Now, if you really look as a business side, it's not a good business, but it was a profitable business.
How, in the horse world, wouldn't you agree, breaking even on damn horses is profit?
It's profit. It's profit, yes.
Let's be honest. Owning horses is like fucking owning a plane or a boat. You own a plane and a boat for convenience and fun. You don't own it to make money. So I always tell customers all the time, shit, if we can break even on a horse, we just won the lottery.
Correct.
You know.
And that business was profitable.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So between selling, breeding, selling horses, training for clients and all that.
Did you feel like you got spread too thin? If you're trying to win the futurity training wise, do you think that running the ranch and buying and selling and you've got your fingers in quite a few other pots, do you think that hurt your horse training or not?
No, I won the most then.
Yep. Okay. So you managed it pretty well, I'm gathering.
I did, like I said, surrounding myself with good people.
That's right.
And doing the part that I was the only one that could do it.
Yeah.
So to a certain point, then when he and I was very conscious about when he got, and it was later on, but when he got to be a problem, when I knew I either focus just in the training or do the other stuff. When he got to that point, and I said, I'm not gonna just train horses because it's too much for me, and I don't want to go back to that just to do that. So that's why I quit. But it's when he got him in my way.
What year was that when you gave up the horse
18.
training? 18. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But like I won an RBC in 2012 on Cocktail.
Yes.
So it was during the prime of that business. Yeah. So.
And so that breeding those horses at Extra gave you the stock you were looking for?
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did, and it was fun.
Do you think one of the negatives as a young trainer of having a really talented horse that, you're riding just whatever people send you, I was talking to, he didn't give me permission, so I won't use his name, but I was talking to a trainer a couple of months ago, and when he was the assistant for another big time trainer, I said, how many horses did you have in training? And he said, oh shit, we probably had 75 horses in training, 3 or 4 assistants. And I said, were all those horses coming from outside customers? And he said, yeah, everybody sent us horses. And the guy who was working for is extremely very good trainer and wins a lot. And I said, just for shits and giggles, out of 75 head that you had in training, what do you think the percentage of horses that are sent to you as 2-year-olds to get trained, how many of you think have the talent to be open level horses? He said, shit, 10%. He said 90% of them, Clinton, he said they don't have enough talent. They might be a level 3 or level 2, level 1, but he said when you're relying on the public to only send you horses, it's a high rate that don't work. He said, now when I can go buy the ones I want, just like you went and bought Voodoo, you went and bought Cocktail, you went and bought the Custom Chrome. When you can go buy what you want, doesn't mean they're all going to work, because they don't. But the odds go tremendously up.
Way higher. And that's why I realized that making a living out of horse training is not easy, because it's almost impossible. Maybe nowadays it's got better. So, but then, here's the deal: you can only ride so many.
Yep. There's not enough hours in the day to get rich. One of the greatest lessons I ever got from Gordon McKinley, he told me this when I was 13. I never forgot. He told me this when we were walking out of the hay barn. I vividly remember this. He looked at me, and it was life-changing. He said, Clinton, there's not enough hours in the day and with your own two hands to get rich. He said, unless you're a gold maker, a sculptor, unless you do some freaky art shit that nobody else in the world can duplicate, you cannot get rich with your own two hands.
Correct.
That's what started my business.
That's horse training.
That's a horse training. Horse training, you can only ride so many head a day.
12, 15, 18, whatever. But at the end of the day, but that also, if you say, okay, but that's how I'm going to do. I'm going to ride 18 horses. I'm going to have a 20 stall barn. You can't. You can't. You just said, 10%. 10% of 20,
You can make a living, but there's a difference between making a living and getting rich.
Yes.
There's a big fucking difference.
But the problem is with 15, 20 horses in training, the selection, the chance to select, to have those good horses are
very small.
Very, very small. So you need the 75 horses that you mentioned, but and then you need however many assistant trainers.
Well, then it just turns into a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah, and then you don't give your attention to those horses, and then
it's a bad cycle, isn't it?
It's almost complicated.
It's almost like I've had several trainers tell me this over the years, that the magic number of where you make money and then it turns into where you're just fixing problems is somewhere around 25 horses. When you start getting over 20, when you jump from 25 to 50 head, you don't actually make any more money, because all the extra staff that you need to hire, stall cleaners, assistant trainers, grooms, it just eats up that profit.
But at least you have a selection.
You do have a selection, but you've also got to put up with all the mistakes too. You've got to manage those people. You've got to fix the fuck-ups.
Are you paying attention to all of those horses?
Yes.
And are you really selecting through them?
Very much so.
So
there's very few trainers, would you agree, that can train 50 plus horses and manage it and really manage it well?
It's rare.
I know one guy, Andrea, he keeps about 75 in training,
he does,
but he's a
job.
freak of animal. He's a freak animal. Like he fucking knows every hair on every horse's body. I don't know how he does it, but he's one of the ones I know for sure. But there's very few trainers that can have those kind of numbers and literally know what every 2-year-old's doing, know every 3-year-old, know it all.
It's hard to name more.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I that's why I changed my path.
DT Horses was founded with one goal in mind: produce elite performance horses. For over 20 years, we've consistently met that goal and raised the bar, thanks to our dedication and focus on what matters most. DT Horses believes that every horse we raise deserves the best start possible. With a great foundation in place, all our colts go on to excel in the discipline best suited for them. We have many top performers in team roping, cow horse, cutting, calf roping, and barrel racing. We're offering our elite horses to the public. For information about the athletes available, please contact the DT Horses office at 480-471-4348. Learn more about DT Horses and the impact we've made on the Western performance horse world at dthorses.com.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Miola. My wife Michelle and I own and run the fabulous Silver Spurs Equine Breeding Centers located in Purcell, Oklahoma and Scottsdale, Arizona. We specialize in making your equine dreams come true by breeding the finest American quarter horses in the world. Finding that special horse, the one that speaks to your soul, is what Silver Spurs is all about. When you come to our ranch in Purcell, Oklahoma, you will meet that fabulous weanling that, once trained, utilizing Clinton Anderson's tried and proven methods, will become an extension of your body, knowing intuitively what you want to do and give you endless hours of adventure and love. Our stallions are the elite. They represent the finest bloodlines in their sport and have won every championship title during their competitive careers. Our breeding program is partially skill, partially science, partially art, definitely a gift from God, but mostly love. So if you share our passion and possess the drive and desire to compete in the show pen or tour the great American landscape with a loyal companion, creating adventures you will treasure for a lifetime, Silver Spurs has the horse you've been dreaming of.
This episode is brought to you in part by Valley Equine, managing stallions that represent the performance horse industry's finest. So, Thiago, we're back from a break, mate. Perfect place to start a new chapter. You've realized you don't want to train horses anymore. You've had quite a bit of success with some better stock. You won the NRBC on Wimpy's Little Cocktail. You're making the futurity final. You know, do you feel like that horse training maybe goal has been satisfied a little bit as far as you could compete with your idols, the people that you looked up to all those years? You know what I mean?
Yes. So all of that was very rewarding, but then you have a family, you have kids, and then you start.
How many
thinking,
kids you got by this point?
I got 2.
Right.
I got Ty, 17, and Sophia, she's 15.
Yep.
Now, so that time they were little kids, and so we start thinking about their future too, and then do I want to be? And then being from Brazil, wanting to go back home for few days, and then as a horse trainer you can't really leave the barn very much, and you already leave enough to go to the horse shows, and so man, I can't spend 15 days in my home country, because I gotta be be responsible. You want to be, if you're 15 days away from riding your horses, can be a problem. What's that, so
training horses is like a dairy farm, isn't it? You got to be there to milk those cows.
Yeah. So I was like, man, what I still want to do is do the horses, but I gotta get away from being a slave of it, So.
And when you get big, you kind of become a slave, don't you?
Yes. So then I hired, I've had great assistant trainers that went out on their own, such as Fernando Salgado, Trevor.
Yep.
Those guys, and they, we always got along so good, and I always let them. I didn't have that passion of having 3 horses at a horse show at a class to show. I always, 2 is plenty, and that kind of stuff. So I never really cared about being $1 million rider, or things like this. Yes, I wanted to win the Futurity. I want to win, the majors and the stuff and all that. But I didn't have that desire of being the next, whatever, the next Sean Flair, I never wanted that, so especially by doing the other things that I was doing, and the business was growing so much, such as the extra quarter horses. I go like I said, I start delegating things to the other people to do, and so
what's the next chapter?
Training was the last one I gave up.
Yes.
So then I was just managing. I wasn't doing the breeding anymore. I was managing, and then it was good. Then Silver Spurs coming in place and wanting to buy our business.
Yeah.
Originally, they wanted to buy Voodoo himself, just Voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lorenzo, being a businessman and all that, he was surrounded of his advisors, whatever they were. And then it's really hard for his people to see a horse business as a good business. Like I said, it was profitable business, but at the same time, looking at as a
for the amount of money you have to invest in the operation, there were a lot of other businesses you could have made a lot more profit from than being an equine.
Exactly. Yeah. So, there was a lot of pressure on me too to
make it profitable,
to keep it profitable and more profitable. Mm. And for me at that time, I thought we were in our peak pretty much.
Yeah.
Wimpy was hot. Voodoo was, doing
really coming up,
and etc. So, cocktail. So, when they approached me on buying Voodoo, I said, well, I don't think you can buy Voodoo, but you might be able to buy the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? So, yeah. So, well, go ahead and check. So I checked with Lorenzo. I said, do you want to sell the whole thing? Because, I asked that because of the pressure, the pressure of having to make it even better. And I couldn't see it getting much better.
Yeah.
So he threw the question back at me. He said, do you want to sell it? I said, that's a tough one, but yeah. I said, yeah. If if you expect it to get better than this, it's not going to.
Yeah.
So this is the time. He said, all right, let's do it. So we worked on pricing it. It was a process. It was
a process.
However many months process to sell it, and then we did. We sold it, and I stayed in to run it for them.
How many years did you stay on and run it?
3 years.
3 years.
The Oklahoma part of it.
So Brett, Michael Mole, and Michelle, his wife, Silver Spurs took it over. Did they change the name from Extra to?
They didn't change originally, and originally it was gonna stay Extra, and they bought the name, the brand.
Yeah.
They bought it. It was a trademark.
Yeah.
And they then a year later or so they decided they didn't want to change it, so they changed it. It was Silver Spurs.
Yeah, it's their checkbook. It's what they want to do.
Yeah, they did it, and it's fine. And things, they bought it because it was good.
Yes, it was at its peak. It was doing well.
Yes, it was doing good. So, and then I think they hired me because to keep it that way.
Very much so.
And through those 3 years, we were having different opinions on how to do certain things.
Fair enough.
Which is fine, and I did the changes that they want to do, and they didn't really affect much until the last one they wanted to do, which was quit the training operation. 100%. They didn't want to have
horses and training there. Yeah.
Zero. Not even outside horses, anything. No, I want this ranch just for
breeding
my horses and stuff. And so I respect that, but I just don't see it working.
Okay.
That was my opinion.
That's fair enough.
Because I thought that the training, even though it's not profitable, just like we've been talking, it brings business.
Yes, it does.
A lot of business, especially to a breeding place like that, where, you're standing studs, then on and on. So I just didn't really agree with that. And, like you said, it's their checkbook. And, and it was fine. I mean, I left. And it was the best thing that happened for me because I went from being an employee to my own boss,
Yeah. So what was the next chapter in your life when you left Silver Spurs? Where did you go? What happened?
So I didn't know what. I want to have my own business that was not a training business, that, that was something related to the horses, of course, because that's all I know how to do. I want to have my own business, keep having training and all that, but I want to have something else, my own. When I left, I had a great client called Janice Laney and Lorenzo. Lorenzo was also still my client at the time.
Okay, so Lorenzo didn't get out of the horses.
Not 100%, no.
Right. Was he still having fun with the horses? Or
Yeah. He has a lot of charro horses in Mexico too and all that. So he's a horse lover.
Okay, so he's got the bug.
Oh, big time.
How did you meet Janice then? How did that connection come?
I sold her first reiner, her first horse, at Extra, so, and she became a client. She kept horses in training, and, I always helped her with, the purchases and all that. So then when I left Silver Spurs, them two came with me. So I rent stalls around just like I did back in the days, just rent stalls.
Renting stalls in different places. So you're back training horses again?
No, I had this one assistant trainer that at the time was, since I had quit training, it was Trevor's assistant. Trevor was my head trainer at the time. So this kid came with me, and I had another guy that was working for me there that came with me called Wilton Araújo. He's from Brazil too. This trainer was from Brazil too, and so just the two of them and me.
Yeah.
So we rent stalls and, kept training some Genesis.
So they're really doing the horse trainer, but you're overseeing it. You're managing it, taking care of the customers.
I was doing that and planning my
next move.
Yeah. So, and Lorenzo had a few mares I needed to do ICSI on. And, I couldn't get it done because the labs were not able to take your oocytes, take your mares when I needed them to, and
so just back up a little bit, because there are some people who are going to listen to this podcast that aren't familiar with the performance horse world and all that. So when you say ICSI, could you please just define it for some people that are listening that don't know what that word means, don't know what that whole concept is? So please define it in layman's terms what ICSI is.
It's the technique of injecting a sperm cell into the egg, into the mare egg, and create, it's in vitro fertilization. It's creating the egg, the embryo in the lab.
Mm-hmm. So they take an egg out of a mare, they take one single sperm cell
and inject in that egg.
Inject it into the egg.
Into the egg.
Okay, so you need way less semen to do it.
You need one sperm.
One sperm.
Yeah. So, and that, and it's been so new, but it's been growing so much because at that time, actually, when do you do ICSI on a mare? When do you do that use the techniques? When she has problems.
Okay, that's what I was just going to say. So where did the ICSI get born from? What year did it start really getting?
Well, it started, I think, back in 2012 at the universities and stuff. But, commercially, it's after that. It's more recent than that.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
But initially it got started, like embryo transfer has been around forever. Mm-hmm. I remember when I got here in 1997, that's when AQHA were going through those lawsuits where they weren't going to let people register embryo transfers, and they went through that whole lawsuit back in those days. And so embryo transfers got very popular over the years. So ICSI came in when those older mares, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but ICSI as a technique came in when you were having trouble getting embryos out of a mare, or she was getting older or hard to breed. ICSI was the solution. Is that right?
It was, yes.
That was the main reason it was invented or born, or I'm trying to find out how it got started.
Well, it's a technique used in human. It's used in cattle.
Okay, so it's been around the cattle for a long time, has it not?
The in vitro fertilization. There is a little bit of a difference between the ICSI, which is the injection of the sperm, and the conventional IVF. The conventional IVF, you put the eggs and the sperm in a dish and let them figure out.
Okay.
Right? So you put a bunch of sperm cells in the dish with the eggs and let them figure out.
And what's that called?
It's the conventional IVF, in vitro fertilization.
That's what they're doing with humans?
In humans, they do the ICSI, mainly. They do both.
But in cattle, they're doing this other way.
In cattle, they do the IVF, conventional IVF.
Okay.
In equine, actually, we're working on getting the IVF to be more successful because it's not. For some reason, and it's the capacitation of the semen to be able to figure out its way in the equine semen, it's not that great yet. So the ICSI is the only good technique.
So the ICSI, they're taking one sperm cell, injecting it into an egg that you get out of your mare, and it's in a petri dish. It's done in a lab.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So, but it was.
But then you have. Why do you use ICSI? At that time, when originally you used the ICSI when, like you said, when a mare has breeding problems, difficulties when they.
Is that through age or just difficulties?
All of it. I mean, it can be uterus contaminated, or all kinds of breeding problems because the ICSI, you do not mess with that mare uterus at all. You go straight to the ovaries and pull all of the eggs that she might have, and then everything else is done in vitro. It's done in the lab. Mm-hmm. Then you go back to a recipient mare. So that mare, if she has all kinds of breeding complications, unless she doesn't produce any more eggs, then there isn't.
So you're not waiting. You're pulling these eggs out of a mare that you're not waiting like typically you'd wait till the egg matures, it drops, semen goes in, etc. You're pulling these eggs out. They're not matured, I suppose.
Correct. They called immature oocytes. They called oocytes.
Oocytes. Okay.
Yeah. So you pull them before. So regular cycle on a mare. She start with multiple follicles.
Yep.
And then one start growing and becoming a dominant follicle, right?
And the others die off.
The others just hang in there. Pretty much. So then that dominant follicle will ovulate. You mature the oocyte, and then it will ovulate. So then that's when you inseminate the mare or breed the mare, and that sperm will meet it and fertilize it.
And that's
right?
conventional breeding. Whether you leave it in a mare or you take it out as an embryo transfer.
7 days later, 8 days later, when you flush the mare.
Yeah.
But that's done in the mare.
That's correct.
So when you have a bad uterus or whatever, that won't happen, right? So on the ICSI process or the IVF, you go with the needle through the vagina, and then a probe and a needle.
Yep.
You puncture through the ovary, and you start aspirating every follicle that is there.
When you say aspirate, you take it out.
Yes. Yeah, you inject.
You suck them out, or I don't mean
inject.
To be a dick, but
it's almost like a regular embryo flush. You inject fluid and aspirate it out.
So all those tiny little eggs that haven't matured come out.
They come out. You go follicle by follicle, which one follicle has one oocyte. So you start flushing them, every one of them, and then you take them all to the lab, put them into maturation, and then the ones that matured, you inject with semen.
Okay.
So now you go back to when to use it. How about those stallions that have very limited semen? That
all frozen semen.
Yeah, frozen semen especially, or that deceased. You name them, right? You can name them. If they still have a little bit left semen, that stallion owner is not going to sell 8 straws per insemination.
Yeah.
Us in the lab, we can cut one of those straws in 35 pieces and use 1/35 of it in a section of it.
So it for sure benefits the stallion that you can get a lot more longevity out of the semen.
Correct.
Okay. So let's just say and we're going to talk averages here because we're going to get into the next chapter of your life, but just on this ICSI deal. On average, I understand every mare is an individual, but if you had to lump things in an average, how many oocytes typically would you pull out of a mare? Or are some mares just not candidates for this at all? Or are all horses candidates for this procedure? Potential candidates?
I would say all of them candidates for it. Some better than others, but I work with averages.
Averages. So give me some average numbers. How many on an average mare? What are the amount of oocytes you
12.
would put? 12.
Our average is 12 in our lab.
Okay. Of those 12, how many of them then mature?
About 65%.
65% of the 12 will mature.
Now, that's an average, like I said.
Average?
The other day, we aspirated a mare, and she produced 98 oocytes.
You're shitting me.
98.
And out of that, how many actually matured?
About 48, I think, that got injected. We used 4 different stallions. So that's the beauty about it. I mean, you can choose stallions, however many you want. I mean, you can split them.
Okay, so let's just take that average mare. Let's take that outlier out. We got 12 eggs. You're saying 68 or 65, did you say, percent?
65.
Say roughly 65% survive. So we're at, say, 8. Let's just look at it, 8 roughly, okay? Of those 8, you're telling me that you can inject multiple stallion semen into those eggs?
Individually, right?
Individually,
yeah,
yes.
So, like, if you got 8 and you want to use 2 stallions, you put 4 with one stud, 4 with the other one.
Or theoretically, you could use 8 different studs, theoretically.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I don't recommend it.
No, but I'm just saying in theory.
Because it starts fading down. So, like, you have 65 that matured. Then after that, after the injection.
Of the semen,
not all.
So what is the next percentage? What's the next drop?
So we it's about 35% that will produce embryos.
Okay.
So it kind of cuts down,
Yeah, so out of the original 12, fertilized eggs on an average would be about 35% of the total number of eggs you got.
Correct. So it goes down.
So we're down to about 4.
Yes.
3, 4, somewhere in there.
Average, yes.
Yes,
So,
yes. Okay.
Our average is 2.5 embryos per aspiration, per mare.
Okay.
But I mean, about 25% of the cases don't even produce an embryo.
Okay. Why is that?
It varies. It can be the quality of the oocytes, can be the semen, can be even something that mare went through, can be old oocytes, can be, things that mare went through prior to. I mean, even if you give dispute for quite a while. There's so many things that can.
Okay.
can
So
cause
let me
it.
ask you. So of that last 35% that actually got fertilized, you're taking those eggs now and then putting them recipient mares to carry, or you can freeze them. Correct.
You can freeze them. The ICSI embryos, the in vitro embryos, they are better. They take the freezing much better than a regular flush embryo.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So when you freeze them, what's the drop down again?
0.
Truly?
Yeah. The fresh or frozen embryo has the same pregnancy rate.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It takes the freezing much better. Like if you have a flush embryo, then the freezing will drop that pregnancy rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of got into the technical part of it a little bit. We'll come back to that. But just for people that maybe aren't familiar with the breeding, quarter horses and what we're doing, that's what the ICSI process is. Silver Spurs Equine owns and stands over 30 champion performance horse stallions. They strive to provide options to top prospects for every preference and budget. Reining is the main focus of Silver Spurs breeding program, and they have developed their $1 Million Challenge as an incredible incentive that offers huge payouts to the champions of 7 different reining competitions around the world. Silver Spurs also raises about 150 foals per year at their ranch in Oklahoma, and each one is offered to the public for sale. This provides a wide variety of options to buyers looking for their next prospect, and most would be eligible for the $1 Million Challenge. Find the perfect cross of traditional performance horse bloodlines combined with the modern dynamics of today's performance horses. All available prospects can be found at silverspurssalehorses.com.
How do you know what it takes to become successful? Talk to someone who's done it. Clinton Anderson became a multi-millionaire by leveraging his passion for horse training into a global brand and media empire, starting with nothing but the change in his pocket and the will to succeed. In doing so, he revolutionized an industry and became a celebrity. Now, you can put his experience and advice to work for your business. With Clinton Anderson's business consultancy, you can tap into Clinton's unique perspective, hear his straight talk, and get his no-nonsense advice. Just imagine yourself armed with Clinton's hard-earned knowledge and entrepreneurial spirit. So whether you own a ranch or any sort of business at all, we invite you to discover the transformative power of Clinton Anderson's leadership and innovation in your business. Call 1-888-287-7432 to take your business to the next level today.
This episode is brought to you in part by Breaking Bad, the hottest new NCHA futurity sire. Get back to your chapter now. You're out on your own again. You're leasing some stalls. You got one trainer working for you that's training horses. You're kind of overseeing it. You've got a couple of mares you're trying to breed for Lorenzo, correct?
Correct.
And
yes.
ICSI.
And one of them is Voodoo's mother, that he ended up buying her.
What was her name? I remember that mare. She produced a lot, didn't she?
Yeah. Voodoo Chick.
She was a smart Chickalina mare, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was a smart Chickalina
mare. Her name was
mare,
Voodoo Chick, yeah.
Yeah. She was a hell of a producer, wasn't she? She produced a lot, didn't she?
No.
No?
She was a heck of a good cow horse.
Maybe that's what it was. I know that name. She did a lot.
She won the mare of the year.
Okay, that's what it
yeah,
was. It wasn't her produce. It was the fact that she was trained. Yes.
Correct.
Okay, I apologize. Yeah. I knew something about that mare was pretty special.
Yeah, she produced him, and then she has a very good wimpy mare that resulting of that embryo that we negotiated when we bought. She's a heck of a good mare.
Okay.
A good, wimpy mare.
Okay.
But so then she was a complicated mare. She could use some ICSI, and then I needed to do ICSI on her. And again, it was a new technique and all that. And the labs, the existing labs, a couple of them that was out there, they had limit availability, and so you got to get in line and all that. So, man, that's the business right there.
So you saw an opening there. One, there wasn't very many people doing it, and two, maybe the quality or they weren't meeting the demand. How about we say it like that?
That's it. That's exactly right. So I go like, well, there we go. That's what I need to figure out.
You see an opportunity.
That's what I need to figure out.
And don't you think that's a lot of the ways that most successful businessmen that made a lot of money, they do it that same way. They see an opportunity.
Yes.
They don't have to necessarily. I think a lot of young people think to get rich, you've got to invent something new. Not a lot. No, you have to see where there's something existing already there, and can you do it better?
Yes.
Can you do a better service? Can you? You don't have to reinvent the fucking world, I don't think, to get rich. You have to notice what's happening and say, how can I do this better?
Yes.
How can I make more money doing this? What can I do that somebody else can't do as good as me?
Yes, and it is God's hand too. Like I said, when I left, I left a big, good paid job,
yes.
And then I didn't know what yet, period.
Mm-hmm.
I went from a good salary to zero.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked for a business horse-related that I could, run
and own.
Exactly. So then that's what happened. I said, that's the business. And so now how do I do it?
Yes, that's what I want to know now. I want to know how the hell you went from nothing about this to now dominating it.
Talking to a couple of friends, they go like, hey, why don't you talk to Carlos? Carlos was a young vet in Brazil, as smart as it comes, that was already doing ICSI in Brazil. He kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
His dad was a vet too. He's a vet. So they had a lot of recipient mares to do research on, and he started trying, because everything in the ICSI is very secretive. Like the medias, everything that we do it's ours. He developed it.
Okay, so what was his name? Carlos.
Yes.
That's the young vet's name.
Yeah.
So he pretty much perfected this technique in Brazil.
They're in Brazil.
Why did Brazil perfect it and not some other country? Like, was it just dumb luck? Was it just this guy in the right place at the right time? I'm trying to figure out why Brazil kind of perfected this.
Brazil, just like Australia, just like U.S., is a huge country, very rural, have a lot of cattle, agriculture, so the horse breeding and horse business in Brazil is huge.
Mm-hmm.
The cattle, is huge. So
have they perfected this ICSI in the cattle industries?
They don't use much of the ICSI because it's so much easier in cattle, and the conventional IVF works so good in the cattle. Yes, they do ICSI in the cattle, but don't need to.
There's no advantage to doing ICSI.
No. So, but it's because of that. And Brazil has a lot of vets. They have a lot of vet schools and graduate a lot of vets. So
why is that?
I don't know. Brazil graduate way too many vets, way too many, and here don't graduate.
That's
enough.
exactly right. My vet, Dr. Reese, he's telling me that all the time. The level of quality of vets that are getting produced now is going down so much. Is incredible.
Well, it's not just the quality; it's the numbers.
Both numbers and quality.
But so. That's why, so Carlos was doing it, not with the quality that we do now here, because we really deep into research. We invest a lot of money in research, and we're getting better.
So you contacted him initially, and you say, what, come to the States? How do you get started?
I was friends with his dad, he's much younger than me, so I was friends with his dad, and so, but then we got connected, and I said, I want to do ICSI in the U.S., and said, well, let's do it, because he had another partnership with other vets that he was getting out of that partnership, breaking that, and so it was a good deal for him too,
Right place, right time.
Right place, right time. So we got connected, and so let's do it. So right after I left Silver Spurs, I started just working on that,
And when you say working on it, you had to find a ranch to experiment out of? Did you fly Carlos to America? How did you get this thing started?
I needed to figure out, buy equipment. It was a whole new world for me.
Yep.
When you talk about the microscopes that we have, the incubators, you name it. It's high tech stuff, So I didn't know even the name of them.
Are you buying this equipment from the human world and converting it to the horse world, or this is stuff made for horse industry?
No, it's from the human world. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the equipment is, the technique and the protocols and all that is not. I mean, it's similar, but there's every species will be different.
Yes.
So then, I mean, Carlos and I were like, we spent nights, on the phone, like hours on the speakerphone, on the computer, looking for what needs to be bought and not, like
Equipment
and all that. I mean, so I did behind my house I have a shop, and there I built the lab in the shop behind my house.
Yeah.
So, but with my bad experience, I said, this is how I want to do it.
With your vet experience?
Well, no, with my bad experience.
Oh, with the ICSI, when you've tried to do it with Lorenzo's.
So I said, I'm not going to open a lab where I will tell the people when they can bring it. They can bring it anytime. Okay. I'm going to make it a way where if you have a mare ready to be ICSI'd, we're going to do it.
Right.
So I developed the whole business model too that was completely different from the other labs. These other labs were more of a one-person operation. It's that one central person in the lab doing the work, etc. I don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. I never learned, and I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
I just run the business, but I hire the people.
More Brazilians, or who'd you have to hire?
Yeah, I brought 2 embryologists from Brazil, and I mean the office stuff, no, but
but I mean the technical part,
yeah.
So you got more Brazilians over?
Yeah. So then we open in Brazil and here.
Okay. Well, let's back up a little bit here. So Carlos comes to America. You two?
No, he didn't. He was there in Brazil, and I was here.
Okay, so you two are trying to figure this out over the phone.
Over the phone.
You buy all the equipment, and you start your first lab in your shop behind your house.
Yeah, and that was about 8 months of putting it together. Buying stuff, and and that was, I think COVID came in.
So we're talking about 6 years ago, about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So then, behind my house, I put all that equipment in. I mean, very expensive stuff.
Yes.
And I put all my savings in that.
Yeah, you pretty much took a big gamble.
Yeah, I did. But I knew it was going to work. Okay. I knew it was going to work. I mean, unless his part, doesn't. Like if he can't produce embryos. Mm-hmm. Right, I said, then I'm screwed.
Yeah, but I'm confused how he's helping you. If he's in Brazil and he's not here in America to help you get embryos, how is he? Other than just talking on the phone, how is he helping you?
Yeah, so then we got the embryologist that got trained there with him in Brazil and all that.
Okay.
And all the formulas and all that, and then.
So basically, how they perfected it.
Yes.
Was he way ahead, Carlos, in Brazil? Was he way ahead of what they were in America on this ICSI process?
No.
No?
Similar.
Similar?
Yeah. I don't think he was much better.
Okay.
But, at least we start on a
level playing field.
Level than they were. But he's so smart that he kept working on getting it better, perfecting it. So and we did.
So how did you get started there? What I'm trying to get at is you're in your shop, you got all your fucking equipment now. Where are you getting mares from? Where are you starting the actual stuff here in America?
So So then I got those embryologists from Brazil, picked them up at the airport, Then the lab is set. The technicians from the suppliers, installed everything and all that. Then we gotta produce embryos now, right? To test. Then I went to Royal Vista Southwest. That Dr. Coy that aspirates mares said, "Hey, can you aspirate these mares for me? My Lorenzo's mares, and so let's aspirate these mares again." So, we follow all the protocols that Carlos had, established and all that. And we aspirate those mares and produce embryos, like from the get-go. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit, yeah.
So you're happy?
So then I'm out there with that little group of mares, sheet explaining the results, and I start traveling around. Say, hey, I got my lab, and
so you start going to breeding facilities. Is what you're saying. You're going to different breeding farms in Oklahoma, Texas, and saying, hey, we can do this. Correct?
We can do this with those embryo production. But that was December.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went over those places, and people would tell me, all right. Well, before that, before I even opened the lab, I started going around and offering, saying, hey, I'm going to open a lab. And said, well, you got to produce embryos first.
Yeah.
So that's when I produced the embryos. So then I went back and said, hey.
You produced?
I produced. These are numbers. They go like, would they get pregnant? So shit,
Okay, so you got embryos. They're frozen. They're fertilized, frozen embryos, but you haven't put them in mares.
I haven't put them in yet because it was December.
Okay.
So I said, no, I haven't got them. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come back when you do.
Okay.
And they all,
And that's a legitimate question.
Oh, yeah,
they're
for
legitimate.
Sure. So, all right. So.
Yeah. Because they're sticking their neck out. If they recommend you to their customers and you motherfuckers can't produce, they look bad.
There was a few people that said, well, let's give it a try. Very few, but most of them, they want to see results.
Yeah.
And it's a sure thing. we did produce when we got pregnancies, and then it just snowballed. It kind of kept rolling.
How'd you name it GeneTech? How'd they get that name?
Just because of the gene.
Okay.
I don't know. It just came in my head.
That's all right. I just wondered.
I really don't,
Are you the sole owner?
Ty, he fixed me on that because I thought it spelled different. And he goes, no, Dad, it's Gene. No, because I thought I wanted to name it Gene like Gen and then Tech, but that's the, yeah.
That's our English problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So are you the sole owner of GeneTech?
No, me and Carlos.
Me and you, Carlos.
Yeah, eventually Carlos now lives here.
Okay, so he did end up coming to the
He ended
States.
up coming, but for the first, and he's not only great with that part of it, but he's the best mare aspirator that I ever seen.
Okay.
Doing, and I've been all over the world, seeing people aspirate mare. He's the guru of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's done over 10,000 mares. So, but anyways, he ended up moving here. But for a while, he would be going back and forth.
Okay. So let me ask you, you put those frozen embryos in mares, you got pregnancies, you had to get in the car and go see all these breeding facilities again and say, okay, I got embryos, I've got them pregnant, will you give me a shot now, correct?
Yes.
You pretty much had to be a door-to-door salesman a little bit to get this thing rolling.
I did. Myself. And then these people, I had a good reputation, I would say, as, through the other things I did. And they trust me, they believe me, and they went for it. A lot of them did, and then,
so did you have to send a GeneTech technician to each of these breeding facilities to do the
no,
the aspiration?
No. So originally, and that's how we still do it. Vets do the aspiration.
Is that hard to do the aspiration?
It is.
It is. So that's what I'm trying to ask is how did you get enough vets that knew how to do this aspiration?
Well, there were already vets doing them, right?
They were.
Like that were sending to these other labs.
Okay, so the aspiration part wasn't the Achilles heel.
No.
It was once you got the eggs to get them into pregnancies was the problem.
Yes.
Is that correct? Did I get that right or wrong?
That's correct.
Okay.
The aspirations, not there. We can use a lot more vets that aspirate, but there were vets out there doing aspiration.
Okay, that wasn't the fucking problem. The problem was getting those eggs to actually get fertilized in the lab.
It was the lab to say,
okay.
So like those vets that did aspiration, the labs were so limited in capacity that those vets, they had slots in the lab. So let's say Dr. Coy, like I said at Royal Vista, he goes like, well, I can do mares to send to this lab. I can do mares on Mondays and Fridays. Those are the only two I can do, and I can only send 2 mares per day. It's okay. When can you take mine? Well, I got this Monday's busy. Then
yeah.
So then, is my mare good then? So that was complicated. I said I cannot let that happen. So
how'd you fix that?
Well, the way I sat up with my embryologist and said, listen, you guys don't have weekend, you don't have holidays.
You Brazilian slave motherfucker. You just worked him to death.
You're gonna. Well, I just alternated them and said, now we have a huge crew. And
so you call the people in the lab, you call them
embryologists.
Embryologists.
Yeah.
They're the people in the lab that are taking the aspiration eggs
and do the rest of it.
And doing all putting the semen in them, growing the eggs. That's what they are. They're basically fucking scientists, correct? They're lab people in a controlled lab. That's what they do.
Yes.
So basically, you had to hire a lot more of them to do the volume.
Yes.
To get the volume of work, that was the problem.
But just like I said, those other labs, they were one-man operations.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out where the chokehold was.
I start off with 2, so I already had 2.
Yes.
Double the capacity they had. And I told these guys in the lab, I said, listen, if you have to stay here until 6, 7, 8, 9 at night, you will. I'll pay you more, but you stay.
Yeah.
Because let's say if we had a day that we had a lot of mares coming in.
Yep.
And then we'll say, no, we're going to cut it at this number. No, I said, we don't want to cut it on any number. We're going to take them.
Yep.
We're going to take them.
So that first year, did you have a good year where you got pregnancies?
I had a great year.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great year.
So what did that give you hope to do? Get bigger?
Get bigger.
Where did your mind go
that very
from here?
first year when, it took off so well, I went ahead and built the lab that we have now. I started building that lab that we have now.
And where's your lab now for GeneTech?
It's in Purcell. I never, since I came to work for Doug Mulholland in 2003, I never left Purcell.
What did you like about Purcell?
I don't know. I guess I didn't want to move, No, Purcell is great for the business, for all of the business I've been involved with, the horse business. Mm-hmm. It's 40 minutes from Oklahoma City where we have all these reining shows. All these, It's central in the country now. For GeneTech business is great because it's central, the logistic is really good. So why moving, Mm-hmm.
How are all these oocytes, how are you getting them from the vet that pulls them out of a mare at the breeding facility? How are you getting them to GeneTech? How are they getting to Purcell? Do they get shipped in a courier, just like semen from a stud? How are they getting there?
It's kind of like when you ship semen. We have a portable incubator that, because it's very temperature controlled, but that incubator is battery, 72 hours, and then it lasts. It keeps it at 22 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And you got to stay that way until you get to us.
Okay. So then everybody's shipping their eggs to the lab, the central lab, which is in Purcell, and then your lab,
embryologist.
Yeah, fuck it. I keep forgetting that name. It's fourth cocktail. Fuck it. But I keep forgetting. But those son of bitches get in there, do their magic on these eggs, and then are you shipping? If they don't want to freeze them, how are you getting those eggs back to the breeding farm to put in these mares?
You mean?
Like once they get the eggs, they put the semen in, so they're fertilized. You have a choice at that point. You either take that egg and put it straight into a recipient mare, or you freeze it.
After that point, it takes 7 days to become an embryo, right?
Okay.
Then you got to decide. That owner needs to decide if he wants to freeze it or transfer.
So freeze it or transfer it. So if they decide to transfer it, you have to ship that egg back to the breeding facility?
Yes, to wherever they want.
Wherever it came from.
Yeah, or to a recipient mare place.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. I suppose I should have said that. It could be where it came from or a separate recipient place.
Yeah.
So you ship that. How is that shipping done? The same thing?
It's body temperature.
Body temperature. So that egg is shipped back live, and then they've got to have a recip mare that's cycling exactly ready to receive that egg, correct?
Correct. But again, since the ICSI embryo is very good taking the freezing process, it's not a big deal if you freeze it and then transfer it at a later time.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Which makes us go through off-season almost as busy as we are during breeding season, because a lot of clients, and then like we were saying, where, at that time, at the beginning, ICSI was more of problematic mares, or nowadays, unlike our ranch now, the Seven Lakes Ranch, we don't flush a mare.
Their hearts thunder for us. Their flesh and bone pushed to lift us higher, carry us faster, and stop on a dime. And when they've had a great ride, they deserve a great recovery. They deserve a cold creek. Cold Creek Spas offer state-of-the-art 35-degree aerated saltwater therapy, proven to reduce injury, speed recovery, and keep them at peak performance. Cold Creek Therapeutic Spas. This water is for winners.
Nothing would please them more than to see this old piece of shit in a coffin. Oh, they want to drive a steel knife down his stupid fucking throat, and they talk about it quite often.
Righto, guys, some more hate mail. Why do I find this guy so unlikable? I don't know. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Question mark. I'd never even consider paying 6 figures for a yearling, but that's just me. Melissa B. Well, that's true. Some horses are just not in some people's budgets, Melissa, but it is what it is. I don't care what your budget is, but it is what it is. Breaking Bad is by the hottest stallion in the industry out of a great mare, Sweet Abra. He is athletic, extremely cowy, and was easy to train. He's a 3-time major events open champion with lifetime earnings of $181,000 and counting. He is subscribed to all the major NCHA and NRCHA programs and is in the Legacy Bonus Program with an estimated payout of $1 million at this year's NCHA Futurity. His 2025 breeding fee is $4,500 plus shoot fee. Breaking Bad is owned by the Fultz Ranch, the previous owners of Metallic Cat and the current owner of Stevie Ray Vaughan. They have all intentions of promoting Breaking Bad the same way as the other 2 great stallions. Mention the Uncut and Real Raw podcast for free apparel with a paid contract. Now I want to dive into some more questions about this whole ICSI deal, okay? So it seems to be on the internet that there's, just like anything in life, there's always a pro and a con. There's always people that love something, always people that hate something. You know, all the years that, I had the mare Princess and Diamonds, NRHA Hall of Fame mare, and I did embryo transfers on her for 15 years. I used Southwest Equine. They did a phenomenal job for me, you know what I mean? And they kept that mare there all those years. She actually died on their ranch there, you know what I mean?
I remember that.
So typically, I would get, on average, I would get probably... on average, I'd probably get about 4 embryos a year. That's what I got out of that mare. I think she had 26 foals over her career, okay? And I would get, on average, about 4 embryos. On a great year, I might get 5. On a bad year, I might get 3. You know what I mean? But it was a 6-month process. You know, you're starting February 1st to February 15th kind of a deal, and it's going through till June 15th, and that mare's there for 6 months, etc. You know, when I got into the ICSI deal just recently, really, because I kind of got out of the breed. I sold all my brood mares right before COVID, because right before COVID, to me, it was cheaper to go buy somebody's good yearling than what it really was to go raise them, and you raise 10 head, and out of 10, there might be just 2 that you really want to keep. You know what I mean? Since COVID, everything's doubled. So now it's almost cheaper to go breed them now than what it was. So I've got back into the breeding game, but that really good mare of mine, Prada, you know, we've used your services through Solo Select. They've done a great job for us, but they use your services. We've got, I think, 26 frozen embryos out of that mare by 10 different studs, you know. So I'm pro ICSI. But I also know there's a shit ton of people that are anti-ICSI, okay? So I want to ask you a few questions about that. First question I hear, and I don't know how to answer these because I don't know that world. First answer seems to be a big sticking block on the ethical part of it. Well, you know, what's best if doing the ICSI is not going to make those mares last long term. You know, they're only going to work for a couple of years and it's going to burn them out and you're going to take all those eggs out and they're done. Answer that. I want a rebuttal of that because that's kind of half the questions on the internet is it's not healthy for the mare. Please answer that question.
Yeah, so it's not true. I mean, first of all, they're not going to go dry on you.
Okay.
Of course, all mares will go dry when they get a certain age, but they're going to grow. They just quit cycling, right? So that's part of it.
So it's not about the eggs; it's about they just quit cycling.
They quit cycling,
okay.
And then but it's not because you did so many ICSIs on them. It's because they are
older mares,
or way too old, and they'll quit cycling. Okay. Actually, but you have a lot of mares that you can't flush them anymore, so you can't breed them anymore, and they're already old, but they still produce oocytes, produce follicles, and then you ICSI them and you get babies out of them.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's actually the other way around. Now, if you say you do. My mares, at the ranch, I only aspirate them. I don't do anything else.
You don't do the traditional embryo transfer?
Regular flushes, no. And I do them every 30 days. 21 to 30 days, every month.
You aspirate them again?
I'll aspirate them again. I'll make a bank of frozen embryos out of them. And then when it gets to breeding season, I just start transferring them. So one of the choose the ones I want to transfer because they're already produced.
You can be collecting these oocytes all year long.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. They don't need to have a great cycle. Grow a big dominant follicle and then have edema, et cetera, where a normal cycle requires to be able to get an embryo. These mares, if they have those multiple follicles, that's all you need. Mm-hmm. And then you aspirate them.
So one of the big advantages then, let's talk about pros and cons, because, there is pros, but there's got to be cons too. But the pro is you're not limited to the breeding season now. That you could literally do this on mares all year long, freeze those eggs, and when breeding season comes around, February 15th, those eggs are ready to be put in recipient mares, correct?
Correct. So, yeah, a lot of people opt to just do the ICSI off season because they just bank the embryos. Mm-hmm. The other good thing about the ICSI is you can biopsy those embryos for gender, color, 5-panel test, 6-panel test, whatever. You
say that one more time. You can what?
You do a biopsy. You get a little piece of it.
Uh-huh.
We send it to the lab, and then we can determine what gender it is.
So you can pick the sex as well.
You can't. With the biopsy, you can tell what gender that embryo is. You cannot choose, okay, make me a colt or make me a filly.
Is that technology out there in the horse world or not?
Yeah, I do it. Yeah.
Oh, you do it. So that is an option. That if I say I want to produce a filly from this egg, GeneTech can do that?
We can do it because we can sex the semen. Now, it's not all the semen that you can get to be sexed, but the gender is determined by the semen, by the
stud.
The stud. So if you sex the semen, which we can sex semen, then yes, you can do that.
Is that a pretty common technique that you're using right now?
It's new type. It's very common in the cattle business.
I heard that.
We, along another lab, we negotiated the exclusivity with sexing technology to do that technique.
So is it in its infancy stages in horses still, or you guys have perfected it?
They are perfecting it. We're helping them.
Okay, so it's not a household name thing to do to sex horses just yet.
No, it's done. I mean, we're doing it all the time, and it works really, really good for ICSI.
Okay.
You can't really run that semen through the machine and sex it and then have enough semen to do a regular insemination and stuff. But for the ICSI, it's plenty semen. It works great, good quality. Mm-hmm. But the problem is...
Yeah, where's the con to it? Because it sounds too good to be true.
Well, no, what it is if you have limited semen still, I mean, you're not going to... because you either get a fresh semen and ejaculate or partial ejaculate part of the and then run through the machine and have ICSI doses in straws, then you freeze it. But now what they're perfecting is the reverse sorting, which you get a straw of frozen semen, run through the machine, and get a ICSI dose. Mm-hmm. So that will be, and then we're doing it already. But it's still, I mean, if you can go from a one straw to a part of a straw and it's still good enough to do an ICSI, now those stallion owners, because they don't want to even...
They don't want to waste, those stallion owners don't want to waste...
Not even a whole straw because of one ICSI section. They want a straw to be good for several ICSI sections. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that. But right now, all these living stallions that have availability of fresh semen, yeah, we can do them.
So you can sex it. Is it much more expensive to sex the foal?
No, to sex the semen itself, it costs about $17.50. Mm-hmm. Where you get 5 straws of semen, and those 5 straws can do a lot in the lab. Mm-hmm. So it's not that expensive.
It's not ridiculously high priced.
No, that's from the stallion side, right? So it can be the stallion owner that can hire us to do it and have the straws with us to use
But what about me as a mare owner? When I say
you have to get with the stallion owner.
Oh, you got to negotiate that with the stallion owner.
Yeah, because I don't know what they are going to want to do, if they want to charge different price for sex semen, or if they want you to pay for the sexing procedure. I don't know. It depends on each.
So it's still a little bit new. It's not common ground.
It's very
yet.
new. We started doing that this year.
Okay, so it's still in its infancy.
But
basically.
It works really good.
It does work good.
But it's not. People are not just like the ICSI a few years ago, where people didn't know about it, how good it is, how good it could be, and so this sex semen will make a big difference coming up soon here. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me the con then. For every pro in life, there's got to be a con. Where's the negative to doing the ICSI? We spoke about the positives. You can get multiple eggs. You can freeze them. You can store them. To me, another pro is that most mares that are in showing, like, you're showing these horses, you don't have to take them out of training. Prada, we just have a check by the local vet. When he thinks she's ready, we run her down to solo. They aspirate her, get everything done. They run the eggs up to you. You take care of your business. So I don't have to take that mare out of training. So that, to me, is a massive pro, is that these high-end show mares, you haven't got to shut them down for 1 to 6 months and do the traditional embryo transfer every 21, you know what I mean? So that's a big advantage.
What are the cons that you heard? Because, to be honest, for me, there's no cons.
The biggest con I've heard, the con I've seen from an owner, it seems it's more expensive. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't say double the price or anything like that from my experience. It's not double.
Not even that. Okay?
Yeah.
That's not even true. Because when you do the math, okay, you've done it all. Mm-hmm. So did I. The regular flush, what is the percentage to have just to get an embryo?
Oh, shit.
0.7.
0.7.
Right?
Okay.
That's the average. Mm-hmm. You do a flush, you have 0.7% chance to get an embryo. Mm-hmm. So we, out of an aspiration, we produce 2.5 embryos. Right? Now, you got to do the math right, where you consider not a flush, just how much it costs to do a flush on a mare, $500, whatever, $600, I don't know how much it is.
Yeah.
You can't compare that to the aspiration because
you got the board of the mare's got to stay there, all the other costs involved.
That you have the insemination, the palpations, the insemination, you have the shipped semen, because then you need semen shipped to inseminate that mare.
Yeah.
Right? You have all of that. You have the flush. Then you have, if you add everything to it.
Do you think it's even or cheaper?
ICSI is cheaper.
Truly. Now that you consider it like that, I never considered it like that.
If you factor in all of those things.
And you're getting 2.5? 2.5 chances that you're going to get an embryo.
No, you have 2.5 embryos per aspiration.
2.5 embryos per aspiration.
You have 0.7 embryo per flush.
For regular embryo transfer. So it's more than double, triple that. Okay.
Yes.
So your argument is, Clinton, if you really add up dollar for dollar of what it takes you to get 2.5 regular embryos, mare, board, every expense that the vet hits you with, cheaper. And the breeding facility, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
It probably is now that I didn't consider it like that, just to be perfectly honest.
It is.
Yeah, it is cheaper. I didn't think it was outrageous by any means.
It's way more efficient, too. Yeah. And like you said, you have 20-some frozen embryos, How long did that take?
Well, we did it last year and this year. So 2 years we got it.
Well, 2 years.
When I say 2 years, we didn't work on it. We didn't work on it all year.
How many aspirations?
Oh, I don't know. It was half.
Not much.
Not that much.
Not much.
It was half that. You know what I mean? We've been averaging about 3 frozen eggs, fertilized frozen eggs per aspiration.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got 4. Mm-hmm. Smart Chickalina, we got 7 on that one. That are all worked and frozen and everything. Yeah. But on average, we've been getting 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 2. But on average, we've been getting 3 frozen, fertilized eggs that are frozen that we could put away per aspiration.
Keep going about the cons you hear about. The price is not.
Okay, let's talk about. Okay, that's great. I love where we're going here. The other con I hear on the internet is from. Well, we kind of maybe addressed it. but let's dig into it a little bit more. From an ethical standpoint, is that it's just invasive to the mare. You know, for some reason, people are hung up on this fucking needle thing, that you're putting a needle into their vagina or their ovaries. They're hung up on this fucking needle deal. Explain this to me, that from an ethical standpoint, this is better for a mare's reproductive organs than traditional embryo transfer.
So when you do a regular flush, you're going to go into the mare uterus and put fluid in there and flush and wash it and, do all that. Fine. It's not as, if you want to call it invasive, it's not as invasive as sticking the needle through the ovary, but you're also not messing with that ovary at all, with that uterus at all. You're just going straight to the ovary. Now, it's the same technique used in women.
Okay.
Right?
In humans.
Same thing. You stick the probe, the needle, and aspirate the ovaries of a woman. I mean, you do, we sedate the mares, we do everything that it needs to be done. Now, I agree that our vets there, and it's a new technique or relatively new technique, and that there are vets there that don't do it, don't do as good of a technique. So when you poke through the ovary to aspirate those follicles, if you pull back in, pull back to go, let's say, per follicle and stuff, you're going to poke through several times and you have better chances of a bleed or things like this. Now, when you know a good technique, a vet, a good professional out there, he's going to poke through that ovary one time, maybe two, and then be able to aspirate all of the follicles out of that ovary. Then he goes to the other ovary, poke one time, and do them. Like you said, a competing mare. You can get a mare. I've had so many cases of mares that came to Oklahoma City to show, got hauled to the lab, got aspirated, and back to the horse show.
Yes, the same day.
How invasive is that? How bad that can be, right? So...
Yeah, I never, and Prada, we probably aspirated it now probably 10 times, maybe not that many, 8 or 9. But, I just went back to riding her the next day. I could not tell anything was wrong with her. Did you tell any difference? No, not one fucking thing. She acted the same. I didn't notice anything about her. Me, personally, I loved it because I didn't want to be in a way out of training for 5 weeks. I didn't want to, I want to worry about are their tails getting done? Are their manes getting put up? Are their tails? I want to keep them on the right farrier. For show mares, it's a game changer.
So it's great because you also have the answer right there. I mean, if you were able to aspirate a man, go back on her the next day.
The very next day, yes.
And it cannot be that invasive.
No, that's a good point. Okay, let's change another argument on the internet. I think it's a weak argument myself, but people will say, you're going to flood the market. Now, keep in mind, when I got over here in 1997, Thiago, the embryo transfers were relatively new back then too. You know what I mean? That AQHA was still in their lawsuits about could you even register those embryos with AQHA? You know what I mean? And everybody back then said, oh my God, embryo transfers are going to ruin the quarter horse industry. They're going to oversupply horses. It's the death of the quarter horse. Fuck me. It's done nothing but make it grow. You know what I mean? We can't produce as many good horses as we need. We're wanting way more horses than what are being born, okay? So that was their argument back in 1997, that it was going to be the end of the quarter horses because, thoroughbreds, it's live cover. A stallion has to cover a mare live. Okay, everybody's argument back then was as soon as we stopped that procedure, which has been done for 100 years, and we went to embryo transfers, that was going to be the death of AQHA. I see the complete opposite. It did nothing but grow the industry, grow the business. So the next argument I hear now is, well, ICSI is going to ruin the industry because you're going to have all these mares producing all these babies, etc. Give me a rebuttal on that.
It's the same idea, that happened with the flushes. I think the ICSI is actually not producing more embryos. It's just replacing the old technique. In the end of the day, you start producing more embryos out of the better mares.
Yep.
And then you say, but you're not giving the other mares a chance. Yes, you are. But let's say if you're going to produce 5 babies out of one mare, you're going to get your better mares, and then you produce 1 baby out of the young one or whatever that but they should still have a chance. And if she's good, she's going to outproduce that famous one. So, but my business grows every year quite a bit.
Yes.
But I don't think that growth is because of more embryos being produced. It's more people switching from
embryo transfer,
regular flushes to ICSI.
Yeah. Just like that mare of mine, I think we've got 26 frozen eggs. We're not going to ICSI her this year. Why? Because we don't know what she's producing. She produced 7 foals this year. We bred her to Dual Ray, Smart Chickalina, Gunner Trasher, Woody Be Tough. We bred her some really nice studs. But we don't know, just like you don't know. Just because it was a great mare doesn't mean she's going to produce. You hope they're going to produce. You hope they're going to do good. But we've all seen mares in our industries that were great performers that didn't produce shit. Let's be honest. So we're not going to freeze any more for a year. We're going to wait, ride these foals, see if they ride. We've got 26 eggs already frozen. We're going to put them in mares. We've got 6 more coming next year, and see if they ride. If they ride worth the shit, she'll be right back down at your place again. We'll start it again. So we're going to hedge our bet because, and my attitude is, we've got 26 chances now to see what she does. Why keep collecting more eggs if we don't know if she's a producer? Now, do we run a risk that she could drop dead tomorrow and she ends up being a hell of a producer?
That's what I was going to say.
We run that risk.
That bank of embryos is your insurance.
It's an insurance
policy. Where,
but on a mare that hasn't produced yet, we don't know.
You might opt to wait.
That's why I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Now, if she produces, hell yeah, I'm going to be banking as much as I can out of her.
It's kind of like freezing semen.
Very much so, isn't it? Yeah, it is the same as freezing semen,
just like
isn't it?
freezing semen.
You don't know if they're going to sire.
That's the best insurance you can have on a stud, even though you don't even know if you're going to use. But just freeze it, because if he becomes a popular one, and then, but now with the AQHA deal, which I think it's going to go away eventually, where you cannot breed a stud that died,
What's the rule now? Past 3 years or 5 years? What is it?
Stallions and mares.
And mares?
And mares now.
You're shitting me.
Yeah, that are born after 2015. After they die, you can only breed them for 2 more years. So you can only transfer those embryos if your mare is younger than 2015 for 2 more years. But I
did not know that.
Yes.
I thought it was just a stud. That's really bad now.
It's horrible.
Yeah. See, what I don't get about AQHA is the market will dictate it anyway. The market will fucking dictate it, because we're not going to mention names and stallion names and anything like that. We'll get ourselves in some hot water. But everybody listening to this that's familiar with the quarter horse world, we all know the quarter horse stallions that have deceased. They all stay popular for 1 to 3 years after. And then after that, it dramatically drops off.
The market takes care of it.
And the new studs come up, and the market takes care of it.
Yeah.
So if AQHA is worrying about they're going to be producing the same genetics for 50 years, that ain't going to happen.
It doesn't. Never
it's proven not to happen.
It never did. I mean, it's, by ICSI, yeah, it's still, I still, even through ICSI, which they still, have that say, you use ICSI when you have limit semen or problematic mares and stuff. I still do more ICSI with the young, active stallions than the older ones. So even through ICSI, imagine regular, so that's not a good excuse.
Do they vote on that rule with AQHA every year?
Every year they vote at getting rid of it.
I got a feeling next year.
Every year, it's getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
This year actually, I was there at the convention, and it was a very, very close by 1 vote.
Well, I got a feeling it's going to get overturned next year, because I think a lot more people are going to show up, because it's a hot button. And I don't blame stallions.
People have to show up, and because, honestly, I think it can, and who am I? I'm not a lawyer, but it has room there for a huge lawsuit.
Yes.
Because if you look, there are stallions that grandfathered in. Mm-hmm. That's not fair either. Mm-hmm. So why can Gunner, Shining Spark, you name it, all them, great
Smart Little Lena, Highbrow Cat,
all of them, why can they breed forever Because it's going to be, I mean, with us, with the ICSI, you're going to breed for, not you can say forever, but for a long, for as long as they want. And why can't the young ones, so.
Well, for as much money as it takes to promote these stallions and to get them popular, I don't blame the stallion owners for getting pissy about it, because they take a hell of it. Everybody thinks these popular stallions just make bank. For the first 5 years, you know what it takes to make a stud. They don't make any money for 5 years. They're just reinvesting that money to try to get those studs to be popular. By the time they do get popular, they need to make a profit, because they've sure hung their neck out, haven't they?
What if that stud died in a young age?
Who?
If that stud died at a young age, so what? And then now you then can only breed for 2 more years.
Yeah.
If it died as a 6-year-old, so by the time he would be 8, he can't breed anymore.
I've been doing business now at DT horses for probably almost 10 years now. And one of the things I really appreciate about doing business with them is they're horsemen first. They care about who buys their horses, where their horses go, and ultimately they want the horse to excel at whatever event it has the most natural disposition and talent to do. Sure, they raise world champion cow horses, reining horses, cutting horses, and rope horse futurity horses, but in reality, Dean Tufton is fanatical about letting that horse tell you what event it's going to excel at. Sure, we might buy a cow horse, but it may be suited better for the rope horse futurity prospects, might be suited better for a cutter. You don't often get breeders that are absolutely fanatical about making sure those horses get the best start possible and ultimately excel in the event that they're going to do the best at. They have the most natural talent, disposition, and they enjoy that particular event. Like I said, been doing business with DT horses now for a little over 10 years and absolutely enjoy it. One of the best places I've got to buy my horses.
For information about the athletes available, please contact the DT Horses office at 480-471-4348.
It's not easy making change. It's not easy raising champions. It's not easy breeding excellence. But the equine industry demands nothing less than the finest. That's when true greatness is born. At Valley Equine, we nurture that greatness every day. We cultivate the next generation of champions, the future icons of the arena. There's a lot of dedication involved, and we've been committed for more than a decade. Through trials and triumphs, we've been there, steadfast in our mission. Today, we are the leader in equine breeding, with specialized expertise in producing tomorrow's champions. We drive the evolution of equine excellence through innovation, empowering breeders to shape the future of the industry. We firmly believe that the world of equine breeding is constantly changing, and that we can too. Advance with us. We are Valley Equine, many years in the making and committed to excellence.
Visit valleyequinerepro.com to learn more.
I just wanted to take the time to genuinely thank all of our loyal listeners to the Uncut Real Raw podcast. The success it's had has been absolutely phenomenal. We are in the top 1% of all genres of podcast in the country. And that in itself is pretty cool because, the equine industry as a whole is really small compared to like dogs, cats, NASCAR, sports. The amount of people that own dogs and cats and other pets compared to horses is amazingly different. So the fact that we're such a small niche industry and we're already in the top 1% of podcasts in the country is phenomenal. It's because of you guys' loyalty and the super guests that we have on. I can't thank the guests that are coming on for their realness, their dedication to tell a story, their successes and their failures. The podcast was just designed to be a hobby for me to bullshit and have a couple of cocktails and talk to some really cool people. Never in a million years did I dream that it would take off in the level that it has. But I just wanted to thank the loyal listeners, thank the guests. I'm going to keep bringing you real, genuine conversations that are not fucking politically correct, and we're going to just tell it how it is. And we just thank you for your support, and I just wanted to reach out to you. Thanks, guys. I personally see that the ICSI in the next 5 years is going to completely take over traditional embryo transfers. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree that it's going to completely take over.
Okay, tell me why somebody would want to keep embryo transfers and not do ICSI.
Because they don't know better.
Okay, fair enough.
That's too soon to say it's going to take over.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, it's just going to get more and more of that, especially if we can get the IVF, the conventional IVF, to be more successful in the horses. Then you can deal with more of that fresh semen and all that, and be then yes, the whole in vitro stuff will take over. That's what it did in cattle.
Do you see the next big change in the quarter horse world with the breeding being the sexting? The sexting, the being able to pick the sex of the foal. Do you think that's the next big frontier?
I do. Yes, I do. I think, people say, I don't care what I get. Fine, don't. But a lot of people will.
Well, let's be honest. Most reiners would want studs. Most cutters would want fillies. You know what I mean? Most cow. Look at the amount of mares that make the NRHA Open Finals.
Yes.
Compared to studs.
Yes.
It's dramatically less. Now look at the cutting futurity. How many mares make the finals compared to geldings and stud? There's a lot more mares.
Yeah, in the reining, I don't think it used to be that way where people only want colts. But I mean, if you have good filly, you sell higher than a good colt.
Yes, but the odds of the fillies working
in the show pen,
where it counts, is a lot less.
Yeah, but the difference also is, a stud colt to be a breeding stud or whatever needs to win a shitload of money.
A lot, yes.
A good filly with a good money earned,
yes,
plenty good
very
to
much
be a broodmare. So it's leveling it now.
So the facility that you built in Purcell, can people actually bring their mares there now and have them aspirated at your facility at GeneTech in Purcell?
Yes.
They can bring them right there.
Yeah, we don't board them. I mean, we do board them during that time, or if they need to stay a few days and stuff. But we don't. They're just coming in and out.
They come in, get aspirated,
yeah.
and then the semen can be shipped directly to you.
Yes, I have over 600 stallions in the lab.
Okay.
Frozen semen.
Yeah. But you just keep there ready to use.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes. We of course we can't use unless the stallion owners give us authorization.
So Dan, talk about that a little bit. How does that procedure work?
So again, we either do aspirations. We developed this system that works good for us, where we have aspirators too that we can either go serve them if they have a decent number of mares that we can go to them. We have a mobile lab, not a ICSI lab, but a mobile aspiration lab that we go, and then we do aspirations for clients, for mainly the breeding places. We provide that service to breeding places that don't have a vet that aspirates.
Okay.
Until they have one. If they have one, great. Do the aspirations, send them over, the oocytes over to us, we'll do the rest. But when they want to offer that service, the aspiration, we have crews that goes and do it for them.
Okay.
But we also receive oocytes from all the breeding places that have their own vets that aspirate, which is even better.
Where are the vets learning to aspirate and get the latest techniques? It seems like the chokehold now is going to be on getting vets trained to be really good at that. So where are they getting trained?
I think like OSU in Oklahoma has some, they teach a little bit, but honestly, they learn it from us.
They do, right?
Yeah, we'll teach them. I mean, we don't have a problem with teaching them.
Because in theory, you want more people doing it. If they're shipping the eggs back to you.
Yeah, so they'll learn from the other vets that do it. There isn't really a good course out there to do it. The problem about the aspirations, it takes a lot of practicing. And then where do you practice? You can't practice on a donor, so you gotta have a herd of recipient mares that you can be practicing and get good at it before you go commercial doing them. So a lot of people give up through the process because they just can't.
Do you think there's any chance of doing the ICSI that it's gonna? I don't believe it personally, but I want to just hear your opinion. Do you think there's a chance that will oversaturate the market?
Not at all.
Tell me why.
Like I said, because it's not producing more embryos than the market
will bear. It's not producing more embryos than the market will bear, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Like, perfect example, I got 26 eggs, but I'm not using them all.
But they're in the tank.
They're in the
not
tank, yes.
Yeah.
Good point.
So how many are you going to transfer? You're going to transfer
5.
However many the market can handle.
That's a good point, yes.
So
the market will ultimately dictate what gets used,
what
correct?
get transferred. Yes.
Same thing with frozen semen. Same thing with ship semen. The market will dictate it.
And I'll be honest with you. Like out of mine, I biopsy most of my embryos, and then I know what I have: coat, filly, even collars.
So when you say biopsy, break that down a little bit more.
I'll take a little piece of that embryo, and I send to the lab, and I can tell you if that embryo is a coat, if it's a filly, if it's sorrel, if it's bay, if it's flashy, if it's not.
And you can change all that shit,
No,
or
you
no?
can't. No, I cannot change that, but I can tell you what it is.
So why do you want to know that?
Well, because then I know what I'm going to get. So
Okay.
I know what I want to transfer.
Okay.
So my bank of embryos, I say, okay, this year I want out of that man, I want a filly, but I want a bald-faced one. Yeah, or
you can tell that much detail?
Yeah, you test the splash genes, you know.
Okay.
You test that. So.
And it's pretty accurate?
Yeah.
You're shitting
Just like
me.
when you pull hair out of a horse and send it to the lab. So the end of the day, what I'm saying is I'll have a bunch of embryos in my tanks that I'll probably never transfer. You know, I don't want a coat out of that cross, let's say.
Yeah.
So that coat embryo is going to stay in that tank.
It's not that expensive to keep them in the tanks?
No, it's just like keeping frozen semen, you know. It's,
yeah, relatively cheap.
Yeah. So again, we produce a lot of embryos, but
whether they get used.
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Or even you produce 4 or 5 out of that cross, and then you transferred 1 or 2, and then none of them were any good. Mm-hmm. Are you going to transfer the other 3 or 4?
That's my point. That's where with this mare, I'm thinking about skipping a year.
Yeah.
We don't know if she's going to produce. We sure hope she does, but yeah, if she didn't produce, why would I want to have 50 eggs? There's no
embryos
point.
produced are not babies on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, embryos produced are not babies on the ground. I think personally that in the next 5 years, it's going to dominate. I think that the equine industry as a whole are very stubborn, stuck in their ways. They hate change. I remember the same arguments when an embryo transfers back in 1997. Everybody predicted this was going to be the doom of the quarter horse industry, and it's done nothing but fucking help it. So I'm hearing that same kind of doom and gloom, like, oh my God, the ICSI is going to ruin everything. I don't think it will. Personally.
It's not that invasive. It's not. It's not that expensive in comparison.
Do you think there's a little bit of? I'm going to say this. Do you think there's a little bit of hidden agenda on some breeding facilities that are a little bit anti-ICSI that don't offer the ICSI service? They're only doing traditional embryo transfer. Do you think there's a little bit of a bias there, but they're threatened by ICSI that it's going to put them out of business, or you think they're threatened by if they don't change their techniques or their labs, or do you think there's any sort of that kind of negative?
I do.
You know what I'm trying to ask here?
Especially on businesses that have a big spectrum of the breeding business.
Okay.
So, you know, from styling station to recipient mare place. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, they make money with the conventional. They make more money with the conventional
embryo transfers
process. So a styling station makes shipment money. They ship semen, you know, I guess 2 per baby. You know, at least 2 shipments per mare. So they make shipments, they make those booking fees, all of that with the styling side of it, which with ICSI, out of one straw, will produce a lot of embryos. Mm-hmm. That is already in my lab, doesn't need to be shipped.
So you save that money.
Regular flush, those places, I mean, they board those horses for the entire breeding season to
February through June.
Just like you said on your mare, on a good year, you might get 5 or so embryos. On a bad year,
get 2.
So it takes all those boarding fees and palpations and inseminations and flushes and etc. Get those 3 embryos.
So basically, some of those big breeding farms would lose all that money. Theoretically, if they're not doing the ICSI, if they moved over to ICSI, a lot of it, they would miss out on a lot of that money.
They'll miss out on that money. Okay. They, in my opinion, they kind of crucified ICSI because it would jeopardize that side of their business.
Usually, in my opinion, I'm old enough now to know that when you hear somebody's strong opinion, I look for the dollars behind the opinion. Mm-hmm. Usually dollars dictate people's opinions. Yeah. Who's making money and who's fucking losing money. And I want to know, am I really getting your opinion based on your beliefs, or am I getting your opinion based on you're worried you're going to start losing money? Or making money or whatever. There's always a dollar behind every decision. I'm not offended by that, but I want to look behind their opinion and see why are the dollars telling them to say this. What's dictating their opinion? Usually it's money.
You're right.
I'm not scared to say it. I'd rather go with ICSI if it's going to save me money. And you put up some good arguments today, because I would have said before this sit down that ICSI was 25% more expensive. But I wasn't considering a lot of the things that you just brought up about the things that I don't have to pay for now.
Well, and those breeding places, the traditional ones, they'll make all of that money, all of that extra money you would be spending, 100% with them.
Yes.
With the ICSI, they will only make the aspiration money. Mm-hmm. The other money I'm making.
Yeah, good point.
And then back to the recipient place, then they make it again.
So my next question is, how many fucking death threats have you got? That's my next question.
We all friends.
I'm just fucking with you. Okay, I just had to say it. Okay, but here's the deal. Like what I like, solo. They don't push me to do ICSI or embryo. They say it's your choice.
Yeah.
That and that to me, if you're a breeding facility, why wouldn't you offer that? It's your choice. ICSI, do it. If you want to do traditional embryo transfer, do it.
And they do a lot of ICSI.
Oh, they do a shit ton of it. They do a shit ton. Well, I'm just always intrigued, and that's why I wanted to get to interview you and talk to you, is you've had just a fascinating career. Started from nothing, cleaning stalls at Joe Hayes' place. What year would that have been?
93.
To now you're dominating the Western performance industries with the GeneTech and the technology. From training horses to breeding to stallion, you've done it all, and that takes a lot of courage to change industries, to look for a better way to do it. Some people just get so stuck in their way on their track, even if it's not a great track, they just won't get off it. They want, like you said, you invested all that money in that equipment. It was a gamble. Mm-hmm. I remember when I got on RFD TV, I had to borrow $50,000 to buy cameras and shit. Well, $50,000 back in those days was like a shitload of money to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that was everything I had. If this didn't work, I was done. But I spent the money, got on RFD TV, and my whole career took off because of it. You know what I mean? But I had to have some sleepless nights where it's like, am I going to gamble with this shit or not? And I fucking jumped.
And it could go the other way too.
You're damn right it could.
My deal could go the other way, and then I lost all that money. But we got to try.
You got to try.
You got to try.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, listen, Thiago, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your honesty. I love to know about your career and what you've done. I think you're a great inspiration for people all over the world, that it doesn't matter where you come from, what economic background, what country you come from. I come from Australia. You're from Brazil. America is the land of opportunity.
It is.
I love this country.
Me too.
I love this country. I love what it offers. I love what it stands for. It pisses me off when the liberals shit on it, and is this country perfect? No, but it's sure fucking the greatest in the world. There's no place, if you want to be in horses, that's better than this country to be in.
Well, if you want to be in a lot of things, this is the country to be.
Actually, not even just horses, anything.
Just like they call it, the country of the opportunities. Yeah. If you work hard, if you're honest, if you're gonna succeed.
You are gonna succeed, but you're gonna have to work hard. You're gonna have to sacrifice, and you're gonna have to do some shit that you don't want to do. At least for a while, you know what I mean, to get ahead. But it is that land of opportunity. I love it. And I think we need to protect it at all costs, But you're a great inspiration because you can make it. I've made it. It's hard to make a damn good living in the equine world. You know what I mean? It's not. You can. A lot of people in the equine world make a living, but very few people can get rich.
And
there's a big difference.
And that's why I took that. I made that decision of quit training and or always have something at parallel with the training, because honestly, if you look at a lot of those guys, some older ones, and that's part of what inspired me to quit. Mm-hmm. Is because I was riding along, going to horse shows with some older than me horse trainers. And then they are needing to train horses at that stage of their lives, and they needed to because they couldn't.
They got no plan B.
They had not a plan B.
Yeah,
I said, I don't want that. That's why I quit on an early age.
Yeah.
People say, why did you're still young and stuff. And, well, because of that, because I didn't want to get to that point.
Yeah.
That I needed to train horses for a living.
Yeah.
And
You want to do it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
It's fun for you.
Yeah. And I wish I could do more. I'm too busy, but I love going to the ranch. I got Miracle, I got Leonardo, and some great assistant trainers there too. That Leo and Miracle, they are doing a great job.
So the Seven Lakes is mainly about training horses, correct? It's not really the breeding facility.
It's a breeding for our own, pretty much.
Yes, yeah. Okay, but but a big deal of it is the horse training.
Part. Yes. And I love going there and helping those guys.
Yes,
I love when they ask for help. They and then I love,
and it's an extra set of eyes. Does this look good? Does this not look good, etc.
And I love getting on their horses and say, well, I think you should do this. I think it feels this. And then listen or not, I don't care. But they like listening to my opinion, and I love that side of it. I like that part of it. When I don't have to go there every day, ride so many horses,
You're enjoying I get the impression you're enjoying the mentoring part of it now.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that. I really do. And
because a lot of people did mentor you and mentor me, and I got to be honest, I'm enjoying it as well. Let me ask you. I always finish the podcast off asking this question: if you had to go back to a 21-year-old, Thiago, or 20-year-old, and give yourself some life advice. Good or bad, there's, anything at all, what do you think you would tell yourself? I'm not saying we'd listen at that age. We're all full of piss and vinegar and we think we know everything in the world and usually we don't know shit. But at a young age, might have been an 18-year-old, what do you wish you would have told yourself back then, if anything? It doesn't have to be good or bad. Just if you could give yourself an advice, or you could sit your son when he turns 18 or 20 and say, son.
Well, I'll be honest. What I tell him, don't become a horse trainer.
Okay.
I've never said don't become a horse person, don't become, but it's much better to spend money with horses and make money with horses.
Yes.
Way, way better. And nowadays, honestly, I do make money with horses, of course, that's what, but not training horses.
Yeah.
And I do spend money with horses, but when I go to the ranch and I don't need to make it work.
That's correct.
Great,
it doesn't have to make a profit.
It's
You're doing it 'cause you want to.
Much better. So don't try to live off, and this can sound bad here, but
say it.
Training horses, it's tough. It's a passion. I loved it. I loved it for a long, long time. I still do, but it's hard.
Very hard.
It's hard.
And you're only one accident away from your career being over.
Yeah.
You're only one horse flipping over backwards on you and breaking your pelvis, breaking your back. You're done.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah, then what? What's your plan?
And then what do you do?
Yeah.
You got hurt. What do you do?
Yeah.
Or, you're not as popular anymore, and then you don't have a barn full of horses. What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of horse trainers struggle with that last part of their career. What do they do?
So then that's why I saw that. I saw that in a lot of them, and I go like, I don't want that for me.
Yeah.
I don't want that, for my kids. I don't want having to do that to provide to my family.
When you anytime, and I suppose the same with sports athletes, but they get paid millions of dollars.
And then just to cut you, and it may be different nowadays. Like we said at the beginning, now they're making a lot more money. So
they are.
That could be different, but at my time, it was hard.
That's why I became a clinician, Thiago. I wanted to train horses for a living. I was a clinician because I was good at it, and I recognized there was a lot of money in it, so I did it. And I'm not ashamed of that. People have a shame about telling people you did something for the money. Fuck, 90% of people, if you said to them tomorrow, hey, if you're not going to get paid from your job, are you going to go? 90% of people are saying, fuck no, I'm not going to my job. Most people do things that they don't necessarily love to do because it's called a paycheck. I was good at being a clinician. I had talent for it. I had a natural gift for it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I recognized their money.
Being a clinician, it's really, really hard because you got to be good at what you're teaching, and you got to be good at teaching.
And people.
So, I never done clinics. I did very, very few clinics in my life because I was horrible at it. You know,
it's not as easy as people think.
I'm not good teaching, not good at talking. You know,
it's a unique skill set. But,
it is.
You know, now I get to train horses. Now training horses don't make any money. I lose money doing it, but it's fun and it's what
fun,
I like to do.
But you're doing it a different way now.
Yes.
You know, you're not training horses to pay your bills.
No, I'd be worried if I had to do that. That's for damn sure. But there is a lot more money now for horse trainers to do well, but it is still a risky business. There's no doubt about it. Well, listen, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You're a great success of what America is. It's the land of opportunity. Nobody gave you what you had. You had to work for it. And, you know, I always believe this. I believe in a hand up, not a hand out. You know, when somebody's on the ground and they reach up, America grabs them by the hand and pulls them up. But if you're on the ground and I feed you on the ground, you'll fucking stay on the ground. Yeah. You know, and I don't believe in a hand out. I believe in a hand up. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family. I love what you've accomplished. And I see bright things for the quarter horse industry. I really do. Do you see a bright future for AQHA?
Big time. Look at where we are now. I mean, it grew so much, just like I said, the last 6 years. You know, like the horse prices are really good. Everything went up in price, but you know, I think the horses are doing really well. Like you said, people concerned about flooding the market and all that, but I think there are buyers out there now. A lot more buyers, a lot more players.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, and just like 6 years ago, how much would a rope horse cost?
Yeah.
You know, look at now.
Yeah.
You know, and then you name it, barrel racers, etc. I mean,
everything doubled. In my opinion, everything doubled in the last 5 years.
So it's a great industry. It's a very strong industry that is not gonna go south. You know,
I don't think it will. It'll always have its ebbs and flows, just like any industry, supply and demand. But I think right now it's growing.
You know, I do. You know, being an ICSI lab, I don't do breeds. I do horses. So I do all kinds. You know, we have labs in. I now have a lab in Germany, England. We open one now in Florida, but we have Brazil. We're opening in Colombia, Saudi. I mean, we're going all over the world.
So it's not just quarter horses.
So each region, each country has its own breed that do more. You know, we do all breeds. Like here, I do all breeds. Of course, 90% of what I do are quarter horses, but I do warm bloods, I do Paso Finos, I do Arab horses, I do all breeds. But yes, the quarter horses is amazing, like how strong it is, because pretty much a quarter horses is a bunch of breeds in one breed.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Like when you talk about thoroughbred, they race. That's it. When you talk about the Paso Finos, they do the deal there. Quarter horses, what do they do? Just like back in the days, my dad, yes, it was just quarter horse. They, you know, but still they did everything. Now you have a different bloodlines for each of the disciplines that quarter horses do.
A hunter on the saddle horse looks completely different from a cutter, and a cow horse.
At the end of the day, we have several breeds in one.
Yes.
And then, I mean, it's huge.
Completely different conformation, completely different athletic ability, completely different mindset, you know.
Completely.
You know
just like we mentioned at the beginning about, you know, the cutters and cow horses comparing to the reiners, you know. So they have different mindsets. They have different conformation. They have, you know. So it's huge.
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, cheers to you. Congratulations. It's great to have you here. I sure appreciate you. You're an inspiration to people all over the world, especially young people. And I want everybody to look at your success and say they can do that as well. With hard work, determination, take care of America because it's good to you. Take care of the country if it loves you. And I sure appreciate it. And just great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cold Creek Equine, makers of the best equine spa in the industry. If you want your horses to be world champions, you better put them in a Cold Creek. Today's episode was filmed and produced by Uncut Productions, marketing by Stewart & Associates, and organized and administrated by Down Under Horsemanship. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a rating. Follow us and stay up to date on social media, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next time, mate. Cheers.